On this Halloween night in Tampa, two teams who hope they are not masquerading as Conference USA contenders go head-to-head at Raymond James Stadium as the Cincinnati Bearcats take on the South Florida Bulls. There's a developing story on the Cincinnati sideline. For more on that, let's go down to Rob Stone.
As Sean, Bearcats offensive coordinator Rusty Burns checked into a local hospital today, complaining of just basically not feeling well. According to the staff, he's now resting comfortably, but they are without their offensive coordinator today. So obviously, who's going to be calling the plays? I asked one assistant at 7:26 p.m. local time, who's going to call? He just smiled and said, I have no idea. I just hunted down Rick Minter about 2.5 minutes ago. He said, we got it under control. It's going to be kind of a conglomerate of offensive assistants making some calls, but it's all going to be going through me. It'll be interesting to see how the communication on their offense works early on tonight.
Especially given that Rick Minter is also the defensive coordinator, so he's going to run the defense and at least part of the offense here tonight as well. South Florida won the toss and deferred, so they kick off, and it's Justin Geisler kicking off. Tedrick Harwell from the goal line, and he stumbles down at the 12-yard line. I'm getting all kinds of interference in my headset. Cincinnati, as Mike told you, quarterbacked by Gino Guidugli, the 3-year starter, junior from Fort Thomas, Kentucky, just 10 minutes outside of Cincinnati. He told us when we visited with him yesterday. It's been a frustrating season for Guidugli, with difficulty in the passing game brought on by a lot of drop balls, a problem that they've been working diligently as a team to solve, and they hope the receivers will do a better job of hanging on to the football tonight. They go out of the shotgun with Richard Hall, the running back, to the right of Guidugli. And the pass is complete to Bill Poland, a true freshman who's been getting more playing time lately and thriving with the increased playing time. Hall, the featured back, with Van, the fullback, Ross, Murray, and Dawley, the wide receivers. They open without a tight end. The center, Josh Schneideroff, is a 3-year starter, and the leader of that offensive line is Kyle Takovitz. He does a lot of the adjusting of protections and calling at the line of scrimmage. Out of the gun again, and this time the inside handoff to Hall. He's out across the 20 to the 21-yard line, about a yard shy of the first down. Up front for South Florida on defense, Jones, Coble, Leroy Selman Jr., the son of the terrific NFL Hall of Famer, and Tim Jones. The linebackers are Nicholas, Jones, and Davenport. And in the secondary, Brown, Reed, Verpale, and Hemingway. They'll play 4 different cornerbacks who will rotate tonight. Guidugli under center for the first time on 3rd down and 1. And the handoff to Hall. He has the first down. Out to the 34, tackled there by Josh Balloon.
Well, I think in this instance, with your offensive coordinator out, and they said, you heard Rob say they were going to kind of all agree on something. I think Rick Minter needs to appoint one person and take charge of that and call the plays and live with it for now. If he needs to change it a little bit down the road, so be it. But I think to start it off, I think you need one voice, and that's it. Not everybody chirping in on what they think needs to be called.
I think you're right about that. We'll continue with that in a moment.
Out of the shotgun, Guidugli zips one through the hands of his intended receiver. Looking for Thaddeus Lewis. He's a converted defensive back, and there's another ball right through the hands of a receiver. An ominous start to this night for Rick Minter's receiving corps.
Well, that's been a problem, but I want to go back to this play calling issue. Minter, as you know, Sean, Mike, he focuses on defense. He spent the entire week in the defensive room. So I don't know how much input he can have into what the offense is going to do here. And I think Mike is right. They got to find a guy and let him make the calls.
Well, he doesn't look at all involved in the moment. You saw him chatting with the officials. Certainly he wasn't busy calling the play there. Richard Hall again for a very short game. Of course, on the Cincinnati side, they're used to a lot of turnover and change on their coaching staff. During Rick Minter's 10 seasons, they've averaged 5 assistant coaches leaving per year. They've had very little continuity in this program under Minter.
Well, and it's more than just coaches. Usually they lose coordinators, offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, but he keeps the same system here so that the players don't have to learn anything new.
3rd down and 8. The Bearcats from their own 26. Guidugli under pressure and sacked. Sacked back at the 19-yard line by Tim Jones.
That's
Kevin Verpail also in there on a blitz.
Their 22nd sack of the year. These guys bring it around the corners, up the gut. There was nowhere for Guduli to go. I'm sorry. These guys coming around the ends, they force them up, and there's no room to step as the interior line gets a push as well.
Chet Irvin on the punt for Cincinnati. A very high tumbling punt fielded by Brian Fisher at the 45-yard line. A 35-yard punt and a loss of 1 on the return. Jamar Enzor, who's the starting middle linebacker, made the tackle. Here's Ronnie Banks, the junior from New Orleans, one of only 5 players in this South Florida program who is not from the state of Florida. He's in his first year as a starter, and it's been an up and down year for Banks. An understudy for the last couple of years behind 4-year starter Marquell Blackwell, who was drafted by the New York Jets after a terrific career. And Banks goes out of the gun and swings it out quickly to Fisher. He's down at the 48-yard line, tackled by Jamar Enzor, a gain of 3. The rest of the offense for the South Florida Bulls. Their big playmaker at wide receiver is Huey Whitaker. They open in the spread offense with 4 wide receivers. And the offensive line, Alex Herons moved back and forth between center and guard. In recent weeks, he's back at center, where he's seen more action over the years tonight. Keep an eye on Derek Sarosi as well, an outstanding pass blocker at tackle. The defensive front, outstanding ends in Frazier and Cole, with Love and Wright providing the size in the middle, particularly Wright. Russell, Enzor, and Hagler, the strength of the defense at linebacker. Monahan, a 3-year starter at safety. In the defensive backfield for Cincinnati. They're 20th in the nation in total defense, giving up just 309 yards per game. Banks has a man open, but it's too high for DeJuan Green, and the South Florida Bulls will punt.
You know, one thing about these no-huddle offenses, you get your team off the field in a hurry. Your defense doesn't get much of a chance to rest when you go 3 and out because you're not really running that clock.
No, there's still plenty of time, and both these teams do use the no-huddle now, and they are different no-huddle. Sometimes they'll hurry at the line, and sometimes they'll take their time and call the play, but neither team goes in the huddle.
Brandon Baker punts for USF, and it goes out of bounds near the 20-yard line. The official still walking. He'll mark the ball at the 25-yard line. That's where Guduli and the Bearcats will take over. 1st and 10 after a 26-yard punt and after this timeout. On 1st and 10 for Cincinnati, the handoff to Richard Hall. He's tackled by the safety Kevin Verpail at the 31-yard line, a gain of 6 for Hall. He's a junior from Cincinnati, 24 years old, started his collegiate career at Ohio State, but did not become academically eligible there. Came to Cincinnati and had a very good year, 15th in the nation right now, averaging 111 yards per game. He gets the handoff and goes ahead to the 34. About a yard short of the first down, 3rd down and 1 upcoming.
Well, he came back home to Cincinnati.
Right.
You know, he went to Ohio State, grew up in Cincinnati, thinking about going to Ohio State, and then figured out, well, I want to go home. Home is good.
Yeah, he's had to pick up the slack again for this offense, where Guduli's had to drop passes and just not been on as much this year, or receiver. So a lot of pressure has fallen on that young man's shoulders and the offensive line in front of him.
Hall with no fullback this time, banged down very close to the 35-yard line. Appears to be right on it, and in all likelihood a first down. J.R. Reed came up from his safety spot to put a pretty good hit on Hall.
Well, whoever is calling the plays kind of likes Hall.
Yeah.
Whoever it is has figured out, I'm going to ride Hall until I figure out the game plan I want to run in this ball game, since Burns is not around to run the offense tonight for Cincinnati.
Right now, not a whole lot you have to worry about in calling plays. Handoff right, handoff left. easy play calling.
Last year, they were an outstanding passing team on their way to an appearance in the New Orleans Bowl. This year, they've had to lean more heavily on the run with the problems with their receivers. Good catch on the sideline. That might have been Jim Leavitt.
Actually, a pretty good decision by Guidugli. He threw that ball away because he wanted to go down the field, but USF double covered the deep guy, and Guidugli had nowhere to go, and he threw it away. And that's a guy who's been a starter since his freshman year, making a good decision.
Smart move. When you roll out, it turns into a 2-receiver route, and both receivers are covered. You say, all right, you know what, I'm not going to hang back here. I'll just throw it away. We'll live for 2nd and 10.
Hall and Booker Van next to Guidugli as he goes out of the gun with a lot of time. Has the completion, cutting across the middle. It's the fullback Van, tackled in the open field by Johnny Jones at the 40-yard line. And that'll bring up 3rd down and 5 for Cincinnati.
It's just a crossing route that's going to come all the way around the field. And Guidugli's going to wait for it to clear. A little circle out of the backfield, wait for him to come and clear. There you go. Just dump it right to him.
A little bit of space, zone, just run in front of the zone, throw it, and that's when you want your receiver or running back in this instant to catch the ball, and you try and make that first guy miss. But then again, this defense is #1 in Conference USA in South Florida. And Cincinnati's, by the way, is #2.
South Florida giving up just 292 yards per game. There's a catch by Thaddeus Lewis and a 1st down. Out to the 48, where he was upended by J.R. Reed.
Well, they didn't get a lot of that, Mike, earlier in the season. These receivers, a young group, replacing a great group of receivers they had last year. And it's been frustrating for Guidugli because they really haven't gotten up to speed yet.
Well, maybe that's why this is a cornerback, now a wide receiver. It's because they've had some issues at wide receiver, so they're trying to convert who they can.
Lewis was just moved to offense a couple of weeks ago. They had a bye week prior to their game last week against Army. They moved him over from defense. Guidugli throws it up for grabs, and it is intercepted. It was intended for Derek Ross and picked off by J.R. Reed.
Well, we just talked about a smart play. Why didn't you do the same thing there?
It's the same route to the other side. Roll out, 2-receiver route, and what did we say? He threw it away last time because no one was open. Look at this. They got 4 green jerseys, 1 guy, nobody's open, and he is too smart a quarterback, too experienced to make plays like that.
He threw up a duck. I mean, plain and simple, he threw up a duck.
And he's been starting since he was a freshman. And that's not on the receivers. That's just a poor decision.
It's been a frustrating year for Guidugli. He's tried to keep the proper perspective with all the problems with drop balls. There's a deep handoff and going nowhere. DeJuan Green dropped for a loss back at the 29-yard line. Mike Wright, the defensive tackle. Help from Andre Frazier made the stop. The interception by J.R. Reed, his 3rd of the season. And he now has 14 career interceptions. He's the all-time leader at USF. Of course, when a program's only been around for 7 years, and you've been in the program for a while, you have a chance to be a leader in a category, a better chance than you might in some other programs. This South Florida program in just its 3rd year in Division 1A. They are the newest Division 1A program, while Cincinnati is the 5th oldest college football program.
So what are you saying? We got young and old? Or
young and old. Cincinnati started playing football in 1885. Only Rutgers, Michigan, Navy, and Minnesota have played football longer than Cincinnati. And open, but Banks couldn't find Brian Fisher.
Well, here's the other side of it. Guidugli gets it there, and the guys have been dropping it, and Banks has guys open and can't get it to him. It's been the issue for both these offenses, both these quarterbacks.
Fisher was out there.
He was
wide open.
Well, you said at the top, get the ball in this guy's hands. He will make you look silly when he gets in the open field.
Brandon Baker on the punt. His first one went out of bounds. This one a wobbly kick. It gets a good bounce for South Florida. And then goes out of bounds. near the 23-yard line. 47-yard punt.
We stand here.
It hit Antonio Warren, one of the coverage men at the 24. That's where they'll mark it. No score midway through the first quarter in Tampa. An appropriate sight in the sky over Tampa on this Halloween. First ever football meeting between Cincinnati and South Florida. South Florida in its first year playing football in Conference USA, and perhaps its last.
That was quick. Glad to know you.
And it's quite likely that both of these teams within the next week will accept invitations to join the Big East. Gaduli keeps it and runs out to the 32. That is a gain of 8 for Gaduli, who's been more of a running threat this year. Again, that's made necessary by the departure of this trio of receivers who aided him so much last year.
Well, and they were big play receivers. They were seniors who made great plays, and even when they were juniors, they made big plays. So this is a different situation for Gaduli. He is now the veteran with young receivers, and he has not been in that position before.
Carl Jones now in at tailback. And he follows the fullback, Kyle Kester, but not very far. Dropped for a loss. Back at the 28-yard line, Terrence Royal, the defensive end, sophomore from Tampa, made the tackle. Here's Rob.
Well, guys, I'm trying to keep an eye on exactly how the offensive communication is going down here. When the offense came off the field last time, offensive line coach Steve Schenkweiler, in his first year with the program, the offensive line coach talking with his big grunts down there working the grease board. But the skill guys, QB, wide receiver, running backs, just sat on the bench. Nobody spoke to him. Change of possession. They're up and on the field.
Wow. You wonder who's taking charge.
3rd down and 6. Heavy rush, and Gaduli throws it much too far. And a flag thrown. The intended receiver, Thaddeus Lewis, did get tangled up with a defender. And Rick Minter nods his head in agreement with the call. This has been a consistent problem for Jim Leavitt. Penalties. They're among the most penalized teams in the country. Last week at Southern Miss in a loss, they were penalized 13 times for 129 yards.
Oh, it's awful. They're averaging 10 penalties a game.
Defensive pass interference. Penalty brings the ball to the spot of the foul. First down.
10 penalties a game and 88 yards a game, and you just can't give up that much. Here you go. Bumped into him now. You wonder, boy,
That ball's not catchable at all.
Doesn't look catchable at all.
Yeah.
Not a bit.
But Mike, I want to get to Gaduli after this play. I think this is a big night for him, but let's let the play run first.
Well, if you want, I'll ask him to hold the play. So
It would be helpful, but I'll wait.
Okay. The deep handoff instead of fake. And a good one by Gaduli finds the tight end Dennis Hart with a first down. Out of bounds at the 38-yard line. They'll spot the ball back now at the 41. J.R. Reed with another tackle. That's a 15-yard gain.
They're going to wait for me now?
Well, you better hurry because
okay,
no huddle.
No, it's a big night for him because he's the veteran guy. He's without his offensive coordinator. I mean, he's been a starter since a freshman. He's got young receivers. Somebody's got to take charge if they're going to go to a bowl game. Somebody has to take charge of this offense and this team and make something happen, and he's the guy to do it.
1st and 10, Cincinnati. On the draw, it's Carl Jones, and he gets nothing, perhaps a half yard, but that's all for Jones. He is one of 10 Cincinnati players here tonight from the state of Florida. They've done well through the years, as have a lot of Division 1A programs recruiting in this state.
And Gaduli was the biggest recruit that they've had in years. People thought he was going to go to Kentucky, someplace else, but he shocked everybody by staying home, going to Cincinnati. And, I mean, this team is built around him. This offense is, anyway.
Says it's nice to be close to home. He gets to go home, have mom do his laundry, gets to eat her great spaghetti and meatballs. He's on target again to the tight end, Dennis Hart. He's another Floridian from Harlem, Florida. J.R. Reed and Kevin Verpail made the tackle. The ball spotted at the 33, 2 yards shy of a first down.
What also helps with a nice running game with Richard Hall is the play action works. You suck in the linebackers in the line a little bit and let your tight end, in this case, get out and get open, get a few steps, and Gaduli does a nice job of delivering it right now.
He's 5 out of 8 passing. And had one intercepted on the last possession by J.R. Reed. It's the tight end Brett Selleck, the true freshman who's seen more playing time lately, in motion. Throw back to an open receiver. It's Hart again. He lunged for the first down and appeared to get it. They'll give him the spot where he extended the ball. Maurice Jones made the tackle. It looks like he got the ball inside the 31 for a first down.
He was open for a second and a half. And then he got converged on. Here you go, roll right. This is a throwback. It's going to release out late. He's open. Now he's not. 3 guys converged pretty quickly. Nice job of reaching forward. Good stretch. There's the yellow line. He doesn't see the yellow line, obviously, but he certainly sees the sticks and knows where he's got to get by.
That yellow line isn't down there for him.
No, you know what? I keep thinking it is. I say, just look at it. You see it right there. Go past it. But they can't.
We got to teach you about computers.
Maybe that's the next technology. Find a way to beam a beam of light right across the field like that.
Well,
so the players and people in the stadium can see it as well.
I'm not worried about that, right? I'm worried about going out and trick-or-treating in a minute here in the stands. Give me some candy.
I thought it was very inappropriate of you to be taking candy from youngsters as we made our way through the stands.
I know. Did you see him do that? That was awful.
Listen, if they're holding it out and showing me what they got, I'm just there to, you know, I'm kind of the taste tester. I'll make sure these kids are eating good stuff.
Well, you must have been very hungry. We're at Raymond James Stadium on Halloween. Cincinnati and South Florida with identical records of 4-3 overall, 2-2 in conference. Cincinnati driving with a 1st and 10 at the 31-yard line. They hand it off, and this is George Murray, who's also the backup quarterback. Tackled nicely in the open field. Looked like a promising play when he took it on the reverse, but Tim Jones held his ground and dropped Murray at the 29, a gain of only 2.
Yes, Tim Jones held his ground, but so did J.R. Reed, deep, number 32, Mr. Takeaway. He stayed back, took away the trickeration. That forced Murray to try and run and get what he could out of it.
And he did the right thing. Murray did the right thing, and he made the decision quickly. Good coverage by Reed, and then a nice job out of Jones coming back, taking a great angle and cutting down Murray.
Well, Reed's off to a great start already tonight. The interception and a number of tackles. On 2nd down, it's Kyle Kester, but a flag down for an illegal procedure against Cincinnati. The play does not count. And J.R. Reed's a guy who was not highly recruited. Matter of fact, Jim Leavitt told the story that he kept going over to Hillsborough High School here in the Tampa area to watch other players. And he kept noticing Reed and liking Reed, but he wondered, well, why isn't anybody else recruiting Reed? Maybe I'm looking at this guy and seeing too much. Finally said, forget about it. I'm trusting my instincts. He went over to the young man's house, told him, I want to offer you a scholarship. Reed took it, and he's been a stalwart, and as we mentioned, their all-time leader in interceptions.
You know, and there's a lesson in that. There is a group mentality about recruiting. A lot of guys figure, well, if nobody else is recruiting this guy, he must not be a player, and they don't trust their own instincts. This time, Leavitt did.
Tonight is Reed's 30th straight start. Gaduli had to throw it away as he was chased by Tim Jones and running out of room along the sideline. That'll bring up 3rd down and long from the 34.
You notice how they keep moving the pocket?
Oh, yeah.
I guess they are really anticipating a lot of pressure off the edge from South Florida. So Gaduli is on the move every play.
And again, South Florida came in with 21 sacks, already got one tonight, so they are a pressure defense. So it is smart to move the pocket, but when you move the pocket, you also cut your field into a half or a third.
4 wide receivers on 3rd down and 13. Gaduli setting up a screen for Carl Jones. Has blockers. Lunges toward the marker. That'll be very close. Needed to get just inside the 21. J.R. Reed with yet another tackle.
Well, who's ever calling the plays, it's some great calls. I'll tell you that much. Excellent call. You see the D-line, look at them getting upfield. They all get suckered into it. The linebackers are backing off. A lot of green out there. That's taking advantage of what we just talked about, Rod. An aggressive defense that likes to come after you. Okay, come on, rush us. We'll dump it right over the top, give our guy a lot of room to run.
Gain of 13 and a 1st down for Cincinnati. Clock running, under 2:25 left in the 1st quarter. Jones belted but bounced off the hit and turns it into a gain. J.R. Reed with his 6th tackle. There is a flag down in the middle of the field, thrown at the 17-yard line.
I think that flag's going to be a face mask at the end of the run.
That's holding against Cincinnati, and that flag got hoisted. That was, I think, a farther flag throw than we've seen a pass tonight. It's coming back.
Holding on the offense. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat, first down.
They're trying to run the inside zone here.
Nice balance, book, as he takes a pop. Wow.
How did he get away from that?
Davenport just torched him.
Leroy Selman was in there as well. Leroy Selman Jr.
Wow. What would say in that name?
Ball back on the 27. Jones again managing to stay on his feet and finally taken down to the 25. A hard-earned 2 yards. There's Leroy Selman Jr. now in his senior year. You mentioned his dad, one of the all-time greats in the Pro Football Hall of Fame after a great career at Oklahoma. Leroy Jr. wears his dad's number 93 from his days playing for the Sooners. Leroy's already graduated and is pursuing a second degree in speech communication. He got his degree in August in criminology.
Tough luck for him, though. In 01, he redshirted, and then in before the 02 season, he's playing in a pickup basketball game, tears his ACL and misses the season. So I was talking to his dad a little bit before the game, said he's running into some tough luck and, looking to really turn it around this year.
Jones on 2nd and long, some nifty running down to the 15-yard line. Leroy Selman Sr. is now the athletic director here at the University of South Florida and is doing a great job maneuvering this program through all of its phases. Started out 7 years ago as a Division I AA program, made the transition to Division 1A. This is now the 3rd year, first year in Conference USA, and they'll likely join the Big East next week.
Tell the truth, Mike. You weren't talking about his son. You were talking about his restaurant.
Oh, let me tell you what. How about it? Some nice barbecue there.
Cincinnati dominating on time of possession, movement. But it looks like South Florida got back. Gaduli with all day to throw. Threw it behind Thaddeus Lewis. And then he got leveled by J.R. Reed, and a very late flag thrown, and that has Jim Leavitt irate.
I believe that's the back judge, Tom Compton. He's the one who hoisted the holding flag a while ago, and that one came a little late. They're going to get a personal foul here.
They had 4 of those last week against Southern Miss. They might pick this one up. Nope. It will be a personal foul. There were other officials all looking at it, and it was an official way in the end zone who fired that flag.
We have a dead ball, personal foul on the defense. Half the distance to the previous spot, first down.
I don't blame Jim Leavitt. I think this was borderline, fellas, but it wasn't a penalty.
Oh, boy.
Ball behind, taking the one step and hits him. I'm sure the referee's thinking he was just going for him. He made no effort for the ball at all. He's going right for the man. That's why I threw it, and I don't know about that one.
Timeout, South Florida, with 39 seconds left in the first quarter. Well, the penalty against South Florida for a personal foul keeps the drive alive for Cincinnati. The Bearcats now looking at 1st and goal. Jim Leavitt a little out of breath. He spent much of the TV timeout running up and down the sideline chasing after officials. Very angry about that personal foul call. He's been preaching to his team to be more disciplined. They have been personal foul prone. And I think he believes this time they were unfairly penalized. 2 tight ends into the game for Cincinnati. And the delay to Carl Jones. Breaks the tackle and powers down to the 2-yard line. Tim Jones finally able to drag him down.
We go back to this call, and I think it's a bad call, but I think what the official was thinking was that this receiver is defenseless, can't protect himself, and he wanted to protect the guy and throw a flag for that.
I just don't like it. I mean, you're taking away the fact that you're going to run the middle of the field, you're going to get hit.
Cincinnati goes quickly. Gaduli after the fake. Touchdown, Mike Daniels. The freshman with the touchdown reception, giving Cincinnati the first points of the night.
Did you see Jones get slammed at the line? I tell you what, I think South Florida went for the fake.
Just a little bit.
Oh, man. That was fantastic fake there. Great play action, easy throw for Gaduli and the touchdown.
Urban to attempt the extra point.
First career touchdown for the true freshman, Mike Daniels. Chris Manfredini on to try the extra point. And it is good. And with 8 seconds left in the first quarter, the Bearcats have a 7-0 lead. Impressive drive. Great job on third down by the Bearcats. 15 plays and 76 yards. They had the ball for more than 7 minutes.
Everybody was caught inside there, Rod.
Well, when you see that, you know that linebackers and secondary guys did not read their keys. They were watching the ball instead of watching what the lineman did and what the tight end did. They were watching the ball.
Absolutely right. It's undisciplined play there. Somebody's got to be responsible for everybody out on the field. Well, Jim Leavitt saying, listen, he's probably telling his guys they got a gift on that one. And keep fighting, obviously, and I'm sure he's hopefully looking for a call to go his way.
Well, he's not getting any home cooking.
And there's the numbers on that drive that we spoke of. 2 costly penalties against South Florida, aiding Rick Minter's offense. Been an up and down season for Cincinnati. They started 3-0. Wins against East Carolina, West Virginia, and Temple, then lost 3 in a row to Miami of Ohio, Southern Miss, and UAB. Bounced back last week with a come-from-behind win at home against Army. They come here 4-3.
How about the big smile on Mike Daniels' face there? A kid out of Princeton High School in Cincinnati actually getting a touchdown now. He's pretty excited over there.
He was a quarterback in high school at Princeton High last year. Chris Manfredini kicks off. Short kickoff that goes out of bounds along the far sideline.
Well, that was ugly. I mean, you know what? You can't sugarcoat that.
How do you really feel about it?
Out of bounds. South Florida elects to take the option of placing the ball at the 35. First down.
That's like people talking about my career. Yeah, he was slow, but you made up for it by I made up for it by being weak. That was a short kick and made up for it by going out of bounds.
Well, it's interesting they have Manfredini kick off because he is their field goal kicker on shorter attempts. They use the punter Urban on long field goal tries. Just the 7th play from scrimmage for South Florida. It will be perhaps the final play of the quarter. No, there'll be one more because of the drop by Chris Iskra, a senior team captain who's had a very tough time this year with injuries. Had a dislocated elbow in preseason that kept him out of the first 4 games of the year, and then when he returned, he pulled a hamstring. He's still played in just 1 game. Tonight is his 2nd game of the year.
Tough to come back with it. With a hammy like that, it's never 100%. Can always tweak it a little bit. Very difficult to come back during a year when you do that.
On 2nd and 10, Banks will tuck it and run. There's a flag thrown in the offensive backfield where you would ordinarily expect a holding call. That's an 8-yard run. If it stands, Jamar Enzor made the tackle.
Well, I'd say it's piling up on South Florida here now with the penalties. And these aren't little ones. They're going for the big boys.
None of that little offside stuff. Take the big 15 every time.
Well, last year they were the most penalized team in the country. South Florida went 9-2.
Holding on the offense. 10 yards from the previous spot. We play 2nd down. We're going to extend the period for 1 on-time down.
Well, they're very aggressive and they play fast. And they don't want to take that away from their guys. They want them to play hard, play fast, and don't want to stifle them by always harping on the penalties.
The 10 most penalized teams in the country are 49-21 combined.
Go figure. Everyone
Among them are Miami, Georgia, Washington State, Michigan State, and South Florida.
Yeah, everyone says if you make penalties, you don't win, but you want to be aggressive.
You want to be aggressive. Sometimes you'll take them.
Banks throwing it deep, looking for Iskra, and it goes through his hands again. Doug Monahan had the coverage for Cincinnati. That is the end of the first quarter. 7-0 Bearcats. Cincinnati leads 7-0. They had the football for 12 minutes and 53 seconds in the first quarter.
Hey, it's Halloween.
Indeed it is. Third down and 20 for the South Florida Bulls. Banks trying to run away and cannot. He gets put on the turf at the 24. That's a sack on a loss of 1. Jamie Murphy, a backup linebacker, junior from Tallahassee, Florida, credited with the sack.
But I'll tell you what, this defensive line, the ends, Trent Cole and Andre Frazier, these guys are the catalysts. These guys turn the corner. They make the quarterback step up. And then your guys get to pick up the slack, your D tackles or your linebacker in that case, get the sack.
Brandon Baker punts. Carl Jones fielded at the 38. And is down at the 44-yard line. Let's check in again with Rob Stone.
Well, Sean, obviously a lot of talk this time of the year about conference movings and teams and things like that. Board of Trustees here at the University of South Florida and the president had a meeting today. We're with Leroy Selman, the athletic director. What was discussed during that meeting, and have you guys come to resolution on a potential move to the Big East?
Well, the tone of the meeting was very positive, and it just reflected on an opportunity should the Big East extend the invitation. And so we're just excited. It's a compliment to the community and area that it's attracted that level of interest.
All right, Leroy, we'll be back with you in 1 second after this play.
First and 10 for Cincinnati with Gino Guidugli out of the shotgun. And has Terry Arnold wide open in the flat. A nice move to get past Kevin Verpail. And a gain of 9. Rob?
You say the Big East is expected to offer. Will you guys accept should an offer come to University of South Florida?
Well, we want to wait till that offer is extended. I think it'll be a little bit premature at this point, but I would say, we're very excited about the opportunity and that we're being considered. And for us, that's a great compliment to what has taken place here over the past several years. And but we'll wait and see what happens on Tuesday.
He's a politician, guys. Thanks, Leroy.
Sometimes when you're an athletic director, that's the nature of it. Terry Arnold, the ball carrier. And guys, let's face facts. Leroy couldn't say it's a done deal.
I was just going to say, Rob, before he runs away, tell him congratulations on going to the Big East, because it's going to happen on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, the Big East will vote. They will vote to extend an invitation to these two teams and Louisville, the other football playing member of Conference USA, who will head to the Big East, and Marquette and DePaul will also go from Conference USA to join Big East basketball and other sports.
Do you think his son knows? Would he tell his son?
I think
it's a done deal.
Everybody knows, Rod. Everybody knows.
Guidugli sacked, a flag thrown right where he was taken down. Might have been a face mask.
Yep.
Terrence Royal, you could see his exasperation. He had the sack and a big loss. And everything going Cincinnati's way when it comes to the penalties, and clearly that was a good call.
And that's a personal foul as well. And you don't get to the quarterback much. When you get there, you certainly want to make the most of it. You don't want to ruin it with a penalty like that. Royal knew it.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense. 15 yards from the previous spot, first down.
Well, they're going to be at their average before halftime. See, a good job not jumping, didn't leave his feet. Oh, yeah, he got it and ripped his head right around. Good call. Excellent job getting there, but you get those hands, you're just trying to grab anything as the quarterback tries to make a move, and he hung on to it.
That was kind of an exorcist moment on Halloween, reminiscent of Linda Blair.
Weren't you a little bit too young to watch that movie?
Yes.
I'm too young now. It scares me.
Terry Arnold alone, back 2 tight ends into the game for Cincinnati. Moving again. Here's Arnold. I haven't seen much of Richard Hall lately. He has had injury problems this year. An ankle injury took him out of about 2 quarters of the game against Army last week. He came back in the 4th quarter when they were behind, rushed for 64 yards in the 4th quarter to bring them back to victory, but we haven't seen Hall lately.
Well, it's a sound plan, whoever is calling these plays, because they have trouble with the wide receivers. South Florida, a fast defense that likes to run at things, so you want to keep them in the box and run at them.
And we're seeing a setup when you're 7-8 yards behind the line. It's been running an awful lot. Here you get the play action because the run was successful.
And Gaduli throws short for Hannibal Thomas. He's another of the young receivers who's been getting more playing time in recent weeks because the veterans have not been doing the job. Thomas with the catch, just short of a first down at the 20-yard line.
It looks like Gaduli's limping just a little bit. I wonder if on that face mask when he got twisted around a little bit. It doesn't look like his neck got injured. He seems to be fine there, but he certainly seems to be limping a bit.
Again, 2 tight ends in the game. Third down and less than a yard for Cincinnati. Terry Arnold has the first down. Down to the 18-yard line. The freshman from Tallahassee. This is a dominant performance. You saw the total yards. South Florida 0 yards. Time of possession nearly 16 minutes to 3 as we round up both teams. 34 plays to 9.
But you know something? You got to put points on the board if you dominate like that. Otherwise, it doesn't mean a heck of a lot.
Otherwise, you're at this point, you're one big play away from a tie score. You need to get the payoff.
On 1st and 10, a play action fake, and now a throwback to a wide open receiver. Carl Jones out of bounds with another first down at the 6-yard line. DeJuan Brown had the coverage, but not very tight coverage for South Florida, a gain of 12.
Well, you'll see they'll bring him out here. It's a fake, and then let everybody flow to the left, and then they go. I mean, they bought it because they're an aggressive defense. We've seen it with the penalties.
Yep.
We've seen it with the play action pass, that they have bought on all those things, and it's hurting South Florida defensively.
Cincinnati is dictating to the defense.
I didn't know you were going to run
South
that.
Florida right now, saying, go ahead and be aggressive. We're going to take advantage of it.
I'm just assuming it's being
on the delay. Jones bottled up in the backfield.
So we can draw, you know what I mean?
And finally pulled down
well,
by J.R. Reed and Tavarius Robinson.
Well, they need to play here. They need to play a little more disciplined. You can be aggressive, but you can still be disciplined. I mean, you got 11 guys on the field. You don't all have to be in one spot. We always say you get as many hats as you can to the ball, so you like to be aggressive that way, but you still have to be smart about it.
It's a matter of trust. You have to believe that your teammate is going to do his job, and you don't have to try to do your job and his job.
That's why I talk so much up here, because I don't know what you're going to say.
Yeah, I don't trust you.
2 tight ends. Jones again bounces off the first hit, but can't get outside. Good team defense led by Maurice Jones, the middle linebacker, senior from Bradenton in his 3rd year as a starter. Here's Rob Stone.
You guys were discussing, hey, where's running back Richard Hall? He is fine. He's not injured. This is a premeditated offensive move. Rick Minter pulled his 3 main running backs aside just before kickoff and told them, guys, it's going to be a serious rotation between the 3 of you all night long.
Well, this again, I think, plays to the struggle in the passing game, the drop balls by the receivers. They're bringing cornerbacks over to the offense, so they'll rely on the running game, and their running game is 25th in the country at $187 in a game. It's ball control offense.
Out of the shotgun on 3rd down and goal. George Murray breaks a tackle and gets very close to the goal line. They'll mark him down at the 1. Bruce Gibson and Kevin Verpail made the stop, in a decision now for Rick Minter.
What do we do? What do we do? Come on, Rod. You get the first pick tonight.
Well, the first pick is the first picture of this guy making a nice run, and he's their slash. I mean, backup quarterback, wide receiver, runs well. Hey, after the way you've controlled this ball game, I think you need to get the touchdown. You got to go.
Oh, I'm glad you said that so we can disagree. I say you put the points on the board. Put the 3 on, go up to no. Kick the field goal.
You're going to have to explain that.
Well, I just said I don't have to explain any of that.
Timeout, Cincinnati. Sean McDonough, Mike Golick, Rod Gilmore, Rob Stone in our College Football Friday crew from beautiful Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. Conference USA action. Cincinnati leading 7-0. Rick Minter out of the timeout had his offense on the field while we were still away at commercial. They lined up over the ball with George Murray, who frequently comes in to run the option down around the goal line at quarterback. They were lined up waiting to go, waiting for the signal that we were back from commercial. And while South Florida looked at that alignment, they called a timeout. So this is now a South Florida timeout.
Yeah, and I don't like the idea of Murray at quarterback. I think the way that their offense has performed, they've run the ball, and the way the South Florida offense has been so poor, I think you go with your regular offense, you run it, you get it. If you don't have to worry because South Florida's been awful on offense down there.
And I think Cincinnati just showed their hand, so South Florida called a timeout. Now let's see if they're prepared for Murray and what he might do.
4th and goal from the 1. Murray gets buried at the 3-yard line.
Okay, you with me?
Well, that's why I was with Golick.
No.
And I said it during the commercial, just so you guys will know that you are my witnesses for the national TV audience. I agree with Mike. Go ahead by 2 scores. You're dominating the game. Go ahead by 2 scores against a team that struggles to score, and keep momentum on your side. Don't have this happen and give the other team momentum.
You missed my point here. They march up and down the field with their regular offense. They get down here and they bring Murray in to run the option. And I said right before that, don't do that. Yeah. Come and run your regular
you
offense.
Said go for it. You can't have it both
if you go for it with your regular offense, you do a good job.
Should have kicked the ball. Tim Jones did a great job. I'm sick and tired of being right. Let's move on.
Crossley, the ball carrier, just trying to get some running room. Adam Roberts made the tackle for Cincinnati. Still 0 yards of offense nearly midway through the 2nd quarter for South Florida.
And that's why you go for it down here.
I am amazed that South Florida has not used Huey Whitaker. 6'5", 225-pounder right down here, 31 receptions on the year. This guy is a player.
Or as we like to say in the ESPN family, a playmaker. Only fitting that Casper would be playing on Halloween. Jawan Green, the ball carrier. And he stopped short of a 1st down. So the woeful performance on offense continues for the South Florida Bulls. Kassan Love made the tackle.
Speaking of love,
Cincinnati.
You guys want to give me a little love for being
give you love.
right about this one?
Yeah, it should be 10-0 right now. That's the love that should be out there.
They're getting the ball back. They couldn't get a 1st down.
Yeah, they had it on the 1-yard line and should have scored. Now they're going to get on the 40 and have to drive down again, which they may do.
The punt by Brandon Baker gets a good bounce for South Florida. Carl Jones let it go, and it goes all the way to the 40-yard line. Well, the Pirates ship here at Raymond James Stadium, the home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A fitting backdrop on this Halloween. Midway through the 2nd quarter, Cincinnati dominating, but leading only 7-0. And going 1st and 10 from its own 40-yard line. Gino Guidugli with some late adjustments. A 4-man rush for the Bulls. A long throw for Thaddeus Lewis. Did he make the catch? No. He was out of bounds along the near sideline.
You know, he's actually getting better play out of his wide receivers tonight. That ball thrown a little bit wide, but look at the great effort there. Nice catch. So they really are picking it up a little bit. I think they're getting better play out of those guys, and the running game has been pretty solid. So, what the heck, huh? What's wrong?
I'm wondering if Rudolph has a comment he'd like to make.
Has anybody seen Santa?
Wrong holiday.
Oh.
Halloween.
Oh.
Halloween, not
that
Christmas.
has to be a little warm, too, on an 80-degree night like that.
I can't wait till we're off camera so I can take this up. I got another one, though.
Screen thrown up for grabs. No receiver over there. Nearest was Richard Hall. But Guidugli threw that into a high traffic area. He's fortunate that that wasn't picked off. 3rd and 10.
Well, the South Florida defense has got to get a stop, and one way to do that is not get a penalty against you, and maybe that'll help, and try and get their offense a little better field position so the offense can try and do something. But this defense right now, the onus is on them. They have the pressure on them.
Well, they like to play 2 deep or 3 deep in long situations, and the screen worked against it last time for Cincinnati.
The Bearcats 6 out of 9 on 3rd down. Guidugli steps up and throws incomplete. He was looking for the freshman Bill Poland. He threw a bullet. Johnny Jones had the coverage. Good job by Guidugli to dodge the rush. But it's a punt for Cincinnati.
Well, you know, we talked about the receivers stepping up, doing well. Ouch. That one Pollard probably should have had.
Yep.
Always Brown in very tight coverage. That was close to being pass interference. Here's Chet Irvin on the punt. High snap, but he handles it. And a very high kick as well. Brian Fisher let it bounce, and it's down by the Bearcats at the 30-yard line. A 30-yard punt.
Hey, Sean, you guys were right. They should have taken the points.
South Florida with 6 yards of total offense takes over 1st and 10 at its own 30-yard line. They have 3 yards. They've been balanced. 3 yards rushing and 3 yards passing.
Oh, impressive.
I'm going to keep doing it until they throw to him. It's Huey Whitaker right up there.
Yeah, but you know something? They got to get Brian Fisher behind center. Get him at the quarterback spot.
Now, as long as he runs it, because he has trouble throwing it.
Movement along the line, but no flags. Ronnie Banks in trouble and managed to get back to the line of scrimmage. Mar Enzor made the tackle as we check the ESPN game track.
Well, again, the flags keep on coming for South Florida. 4 penalties for 49 yards.
And then Mike Daniels got his first collegiate touchdown. A nice little catch there. And then, Cincinnati tried to go for the second score. Didn't get anything on a 4th and short.
Well, Rod, you got your wish. Brian Fisher at quarterback. You can hear the fans applauding that as well. He's much more of an option running threat. He pitched it forward. Well, you can feel energy in the stands for the first time tonight. Juan Green took the shovel pass and went close to a first down. They'll need about 1.5 yards here on 3rd down to move the chains.
Well, he changes the pace of the game, the dynamics, because everything becomes a speed-oriented option when he's in there.
Oh, and here he goes for their first down of the night. Out to the 43-yard line. Jamar Enzor made the tackle for Cincinnati. Certainly Jim Leavitt needed something to wake up the offense, and Fisher's doing it.
They have a couple of different styles here when they go no huddle. They'll call the play line and take their time, or they'll do what they call Indy, like the Indy 500. They'll move it along and they'll get the play going a little quicker like they did last play. Here they're changing it, taking their time a little more.
We took over quarterback into a game against TCU on the family of networks on ESPN2 and nearly brought them all the way back to victory. They lost that game by 3 points. Clinton Crossley, the ball carrier, and the safeties Franklin Calicott and Doug Monahan combined on the tackle, but a good gain of 7.
Well, part of the problem for Cincinnati is the fear factor with Fisher, because you know he can break off a big run on you just at any time.
And his throw a little high. He was looking for Mike's pal Huey Whitaker. And here he comes again, driving down to the 38-yard line, another first down.
He just changes the pace of everything. Those linemen who were teeing off on Banks coming in, now they can't do it now.
This is going to be a draw going this way. He has his option of what, an option of what he wants to do, and he's going to keep it. He sees a hole and he hits it quick.
Well, did you see number 90, Trent Cole? He didn't attack the quarterback. He just comes up and hovers. That changes what they're doing now.
12-yard gain on the previous play. This is Clinton Crossley, the junior from Bushnell, Florida, tackled by Trent Cole. Brian Fisher is from Pensacola. He was, as Rod said, a quarterback in high school at Pine Forest. A lot of schools didn't recruit him seriously because of his size. He's listed at 5'9". Brian admits he's 5'7", but he says he would be 6 feet tall if he wasn't so bow-legged. He also said there's an advantage to being the shortest guy in the program. You're the last guy to get hit by the rain. Well, he has the right atmosphere about his attitude, rather, about his lack of height. The pitch to Crossley, and he's in trouble. Saw 3 Bearcats coming at him, decided to hit the deck at the 35-yard line. Credit Jason Russell, the outside linebacker from Pittsburgh, with the tackle.
Remember David Palmer, Alabama, played in the NFL?
Yes, yeah.
He reminds me of David
You're right.
Palmer.
It's a good comparison. Well, you can't shoot a shot of him behind his old lineman and never see him.
How about that? Take a look. Can you find him? Well, you're a defensive guy. Can you find him?
Will he throw on 3rd down and 7? He will, and it's a deep ball looking for Huey Whitaker, and it's out of bounds and incomplete. Zach Norton had the coverage with help from Franklin Calicott.
Well, interesting here. They're gonna play the field position game here. Here's a high throw again. Whitaker is 6'5". That's the right idea. It's just a bad throw. You got to give your 6'5" guy a chance to win a jump ball, and that's not going to do it.
How about Norton? Norton on the coverage.
Yeah, I think this is smart here to punt it, try and bury him a little bit. Last series out, your defense played pretty well. Start to play the field position game and try and get yourself a short field.
Brandon Baker has his punt fielded by Carl Jones. He slithered out to the 19-yard line. A 25-yard punt and a 9-yard return. 2:59 left in the half. Cincinnati leads 7-0. Now that's a much better attempt at a Halloween costume than what you were sporting there, Sport.
Yeah, you're right. That kid looks good. That kid's going to get some good candy. No doubt about that.
Oh, how precious.
Oh, that is great. They start them on those cell phones young, don't they?
They sure do.
Next thing, she'll have a credit card.
And it's the oldest line in the book, but there are a lot of people here tonight dressed as empty seats. This is a very disappointing crowd. Yep. They expected to fill most of the lower bowl, which can seat about 41,000. They do not open the upper deck here for South Florida games. They've typically had crowds of 30,000 plus at home, but on Halloween tonight, fewer than that in-house. Problem with Ed Ardito's microphone. Now, the last time our cameras were here for that TCU game, Ed was the referee, and his microphone got stuck in the on position, so the people here in the stands could hear everything he was saying.
He could have done play-by-play for the people in the stadium.
And then he had a startling admission to the crowd when he said, "I don't know what's going on here."
That's never a good thing to hear from an official.
No. Referees and pilots, you really don't want to hear that from.
Boy, you're
Doctors.
Right.
Doctors, yeah.
Here's Richard Hall. Second down and 9. One timeout left for each team. On the draw, Richard Hall. Down at the 20. And the clock will run under 2 minutes. I would imagine if they stop him here on 3rd down, fellas, Jim Leavitt might use that last timeout.
I certainly would. Leave yourself a little bit of time. This South Florida defense has tightened up a little bit, Rod.
Yeah, they have. Ever since Cincinnati wasn't able to pick up the fourth and goal.
One,
yeah.
I thought Mike was about to say, you mean when they didn't kick the field goal?
No, I let things go.
Yes,
I will never bring that up again. Should have kicked it. Never.
3rd down and 8. Just a 4-man rush. Gaduli throws short. The tackle made on Booker Van immediately by Johnny Jones. No timeout call.
Go figure.
I'm surprised.
You think they would want to use that, but this is great defense. They do this to make the quarterback throw the ball quickly on the hot route, come up, and then make the play.
Absolutely. They're going to say, here's your open guy. Go ahead and throw it to him. We have confidence we're going to come up and make the tackle. Excellent stick. There they go. A little late on the timeout.
Yeah, they lost about 12 to 14 seconds that they could have saved by waiting before calling that timeout. Chet Irvin punting on 4th down and 5. Brian Fisher lets it bounce, and it goes out of bounds at the 34-yard line, a 43-yard punt.
So, guys, why do coaches waste seconds in calling a timeout? It shouldn't happen because head coaches have responsibility for fourth down decisions, last 2 minutes of the half, and timeouts.
There should have been no indecision there. You have to know when it's the down and distance, what you're going to do after each play, and it should have been an immediate timeout after that play. There would have been, Sean, what'd you say, 10, 12 seconds?
When I looked at the clock, there was 1:20, wondering why it wasn't a timeout, and he called it at 1:08.
Yeah.
Well, I think there should always be a guy, one of the coaches ought to be talking to the head coach. Hey, we want a timeout after this play, or hey, fourth down coming up. We're going to do this, reminding the head coach so that you're thinking ahead to make the call.
Well, they have Fisher in there, who's not much of a thrower. No timeouts left. They're at their own 34. He can run, and he gets run out of bounds by Franklin Calicott after a very short gain.
I don't know if I'm a big fan of this right now. A guy that doesn't throw the ball particularly well, because if he gets tackled in bounds and doesn't get the first down, the clock is just going to run. I know Banks has struggled at quarterback as well throwing the ball, but I think you want more of a you're better passer in the game right now.
Yeah, but at least he's trying to throw the ball to your guy.
Yeah.
Crossley out to the 41. Jamar Enzor made the tackle. The Bulls aren't in a major hurry here. And they're still signaling in plays from the sideline.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is I say that I think this is poor clock management.
Not textbook 2-minute drill.
This is horrible. Yeah, that's just awful. I mean, the play clock's down to 6 when they snap it. They're the team that's in a hurry. Lots of room for Fisher. You don't think they would have liked to have the timeout time and all the time they killed before running that play back now?
Well, now they need to get down and kill it. They need to line up because the clock won't start till they set the chains. They need to do a kill. Yeah, they've wasted so much time.
18-yard gain. Fisher slams it into the ground. 9 seconds left in the half.
Not good.
No.
I think we've made that clear. They did not handle the last 2 minutes very well.
Well, if they had those 12 or 14 seconds right now, they'd have at least a couple plays.
Well, and you get that one play off quick. How much time ran off?
Yep.
The play clock was down to 6.
But now it's going to be simply, I would assume, your Hail Mary shot probably to Whitaker.
Or something to the sidelines quickly to try a long field goal. Banks back in the game. Or, excuse me, the third quarterback. Pat Jolmist is in the game.
This guy has got an arm. This guy is a youngster, a freshman, but talking to the coaches before the game on the field, they like this kid. He has an absolute gun. And you know what? You're going to need it right now if they're going to go the distance.
He's a redshirt freshman from Miramar, Florida. He's appeared in just 2 games this season against Army and Charleston Southern. He did throw a 53-yard touchdown pass against Charleston Southern. He lost that toward the back of the end zone, and it is incomplete. And time has expired in the first half. At the half, Cincinnati 7 and South Florida nothing. This is homecoming for the University of South Florida, a school that started football just 7 years ago. A lot of homecoming festivities on the field during halftime.
You know, you talked about them starting just a few years ago. It was amazing to see their facilities, or lack thereof.
We went over their campus yesterday, about 20 minutes from Raymond James Stadium, and their football offices. There's an illegal procedure.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Frank Davis, who's from Panama, guilty of moving early. This is the home of South Florida football. They're in trailers over on the campus. 3 of them, as you can see. Very tight quarters for the coaches. Very few meeting rooms. They actually meet over in a cafeteria. in the middle of campus. Fisher escapes, in trouble again, and will not escape this time. Jason Russell, the linebacker, drops Fisher for a loss back to the 23. The good news is that they've managed to have a winning program in 7 years, making these transitions, working out of those facilities. And in April, they're going to open a beautiful new 104,000 square foot building, $18 million. It'll be one of these football palaces we see all across the country now.
And nobody's happier than that guy, because he used to sit in that trailer, and it's near the baseball field.
Yeah.
And they'd hit home runs, and they'd land on the roof.
But during batting practice, he'd get pounded off the roof of his office.
That's amazing.
Visitors would say, what was that? He became immune to it after a while. Oh, that's just the baseball team taking batting practice, and the home runs land on my roof.
Come Tuesday, after they accept the invitation, they'll say we can't have that in Big East football.
We'll show you a look at Coach Leavitt's office. A lot of these offices look like Fortune 500 executive suites. They want a flag, and a very late flag thrown by the field judge. Jim Leavitt was screaming at the back judge, with whom he's had a running commentary, Tom Compton, because Tom has thrown a couple of late flags that have gone against him. He didn't get the flag from Tom, but he did get it from the field judge, Derwin Williams.
Boy, oh boy, I was almost talked into.
Defensive pass interference.
Davin Holly had the coverage on
15
S.J.
yards in the
Green.
previous spot. Automatic first down.
Coach Leavitt went running down the sideline, screaming at the back judge in the middle of the field as if to say, come on, you've thrown a couple of those against us. Where's your flag? He didn't throw it, but the field judge did.
Well, he came across with his right hand for the block, and I tell you what,
bad.
I didn't see anything.
No, that's terrible.
That looked like an excellent play.
I'm not going to say anything.
Quarterback again.
Bad call.
And Joel Mist, who's more of a thrower than a runner, tried to run after the fake into the line, and he's dropped for a loss of 2 back to the 36 by Andre Frazier. Now here's a look at Coach Leavitt's office. No place to put the pictures.
No, it's awfully crowded, and we were in there yesterday.
Look
See
at
all the
those
tapes?
Yeah.
There's no place for those things to go.
Wow.
And yet they're 48-25. He's the only head coach they've ever had. He's from St. Petersburg. Was an assistant at Kansas State when he was offered the head coaching job here. Took a $15,000 pay cut. That was very nearly intercepted by Davin Holly. Elgin Hicks, the intended receiver, and Holly came within an eyelash of his 4th interception of his junior year.
And why isn't that offensive pass interference if that last call was defensive pass
Because
interference?
Jim Leavitt didn't yell that time.
Look at the move he makes. He makes the move. He's going to catch the ball, and he gets tackled up high by the receiver, and no flag. Look at this. If a defensive player had made that move, they would have thrown a flag. And that's what's wrong with officiating on pass interference.
Were you a defensive back?
Of course.
Joel Mist going deep, very deep for Hicks. And there's a flag from Coach Leavitt's friend, thrown against Doug Monahan.
That, I believe, is going to be a good call.
You know, if that's the percentage, if you run those last 3 plays.
15 yards in the previous spot. First down.
If you look at the last 3 pass interference calls, 1 of 3 is correct.
I don't even know, after looking at the replay, what Monahan did there.
The ball was behind, so
badly thrown.
Hicks was looking to come back for the ball, and Monahan didn't know where the ball was, so he kind of kept going forward.
But you can at least see how the official would call that one. The other 2, that's
Juwan
bad.
Green, the ball carrier. On 1st and 10 from the 49, he took it to the 46 for a gain of 3. Now it's Rick Minter's turn to chew on the ears of the officials. We're at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa for the first ever meeting in football between Cincinnati and South Florida. This is a Conference USA game. Sean McDonough with Rod Gilmore, Mike Golick, and Rob Stone. Cincinnati leads 7-0. The lone touchdown was in the first quarter on a 2-yard pass from Gino Guidugli to Mike Daniels. Mar Enzor took down Pat Julmist at the 45-yard line. And it'll be 3rd down and 6.
Look at Enzor. He looks like a middle backer. He just smacked the last 2 running back, the last 2 ball carriers. It's got the look of a middle linebacker, that kind of sick look on your face, your pads twisted up, the menacing look of I'm going to maim you when I hit you. It's a beautiful thing.
Rick Minter raved about him yesterday. Nice run by Joel Mist. And a first down at the 38-yard line. Doug Monahan made the tackle. We spoke with Rick Minter about Enzor yesterday. He said great strength, great explosiveness, great intelligence. Not much more you can be looking for out of your middle linebacker.
This guy who split the starting time last year, still had 101 tackles, was a sub the year before.
Clinton Crossley, the ball carrier. Crossley's been their leading rusher each of the last 2 seasons. They don't typically have a rusher run for eye-popping yardage because they rotate a lot of backs in and out, and they throw the ball a good percentage of the time.
I think they need to go back to Fisher at quarterback now. They're getting close to the area where they're going to get a lot more man coverage.
Good catch by Allenson Sheffield on a throw that was a little bit in front of him from Joel Mist. And the junior from Miami went out of bounds near a first down. Looks to be about a yard short at the 29-yard line.
Cincinnati, Mike, typically plays a lot of zone, but as they get backed up to their goal line, they go to man coverage. Right. And the option, and Fisher would be very good against that.
Because your receivers, you're right, would just run off the defensive backs in man coverage, and it would give Fisher more room to run. Excellent point.
Interesting, very tightly bunched formation here. With Joel Mist, the quarterback, the handoff to DeJuan Green, and a first down to the 25-yard line for Green, who played 2 years at the University of Georgia before he transferred to South Florida. They've been waiting for Green to bust a long run. He has excellent speed, but hasn't really broken off a long run yet this year. Out of the gun, Quentin Callum, the ball carrier. He got banged down by Tawan Hagler, and there's a flag down on the play.
That's going to be holding on Elgin Hicks, number 22, out the wide receiver position. Again, going against South Florida. Hicks trying to hold his block out there and held on a little too much.
Holding on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Still first down.
Hicks, another transfer. He spent one redshirt season at the University of Florida before coming to USF.
See, he held on to that jersey. He had his hands inside, but once the defensive back tried to get away, he held on, and the ref sees the jersey stretch out. So that's what they call, because he really didn't have a hold of him that bad, but as soon as you see that jersey stretch out, they're going to throw the flag. If you're going to hold, you got to make it worth your while.
Back at the 36-yard line, first down and 20. Pump fake by Joel Mist. He got the man wide open. Hicks is open. Touchdown, South Florida. Well, that was quick atonement for the holding penalty. Elgin Hicks, the touchdown pass, capping a 10-play drive.
And what did we say? You're one big play away from being right back in this game.
Yep. Cincinnati dominated for so long, but then the old okey doke on the out and up.
A 36-yard pass. Joel Mist finding Hicks. The extra point up and good from Santiago Gramatica. And USF, struggling on offense all night long, is now tied up with Cincinnati midway through the third quarter. Back at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, where South Florida has just tied it on a 36-yard touchdown pass from Pat Joel Mist to Elgin Hicks. A 64-yard drive. They had 65 yards of offense in the entire first half. Good kick by Justin Geisler. And taking a knee in the middle of the end zone, Tedrick Harwell.
This is all you need to see on this play. Watch Holly, 18, the corner. He comes up, he bites. Right now, there's a receiver. He bites on the pump fake. He comes up 7 yards, inexperienced. He was a wide receiver most of his career, has only been a defensive back for a short period of time. He let Hicks get by him by simply biting on the fake.
Well, I tell you, I wonder at what point he was just praying somebody was back there, that Monahan was back there, but he wasn't.
I can guarantee you, as soon as he took 3 steps forward, he thought, oh no.
Richard Hall carries for 4 to the 24. Craig Coble made the tackle. He's starting at defensive tackle tonight in the place of Cedric Battles, who injured his knee during the week in practice.
The whole domino effect of this is the offense is getting chances because the defense, again, after the 4th and 1 stop, seemed to really start to tighten up, and they're really kind of stopping the run and got that Cincinnati offense out of sync now and giving their South Florida offense a chance.
Under 7 minutes left in the 3rd quarter in a 7-7 game. These two teams trying to stay in the race in Conference USA. It's a long shot that they could win even with 2 losses, but a lot of the teams ahead of them play each other. Gaduli, the ball carrier, he has a first down at the 31. Stephen Nicholas made the stop.
I'm not sure how often you want Gaduli to run the ball like that. He's a big guy, 220, 225, 6'3.5" or so. He's not particularly swift.
No, and every time I've seen him go down, it's been head first. And if you're doing that, someone's going to light you up.
It has been a tale of 2 halves here in Tampa. Hall the handoff, and he's smothered after a gain of 1. Maurice Jones, the middle linebacker, a 3-year starter who's after your jobs, guys. He says he either wants to be a color analyst or an actor someday. He's taken some classes that have got him involved in acting, and he thinks he might have a future as the next Denzel Washington.
I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, I agree.
I think you should go to be
acting.
an actor.
Yeah. Forget about the broadcast.
Yeah, don't do that. No money.
He called a lot of his teammates out. He wasn't acting either after last week's game. He said he wanted to beat somebody up. He was so mad at all the stupid penalties. Here's Hall in the open space and all the way down to the 46-yard line of South Florida. Kevin Verpail made the tackle, but it's a 22-yard gain.
Well, Hall's the one doing a little calling out here. Look at this. This is really a long handoff with a lead blocker. And he gets right in behind it. They get outside to the edge quickly, and that's just great running. You know, and Hall had the bad ankle. It doesn't look bad anymore. It was bothering him most of the season. I think the last week or so, he's starting to come back to his natural, healthy self.
And they stick with Richard Hall. He twists down to the 41-yard line. That's a gain of 5. It'll be 2nd and 5. Courtney Davenport made the stop for the Bulls.
Watched a lot of film on Hall running, and I like the way he runs. He's not a big move guy. He's not going to shake you. It's kind of a subtle move where it almost doesn't look like he's doing it fast enough for it to work. Yet he slips a tackle and he keeps going north and south. It's really a deceptive style of running he has.
I think that's right. Deceptive, and he's very deliberate with it.
He rushed for 7,400 yards in high school at Wyoming High School, 4th in Ohio State history. Low throw intended for A.J. Lucius, one of 3 tight ends they use regularly. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
Hall had his career day against Miami earlier in the season. He rushed for 161 yards and 3 touchdowns. Again, coming in to the game, as you see there, 15th in the land in rushing, and they've needed it this year with the passing being down.
Well, he thought he should have been the guy last year. He was eligible to play last year and didn't get many carries.
3rd and 5. The crowd trying to help the South Florida defense. Gaduli with a blitz coming. Has to get rid of it and finds a man. Booker Van, the fullback, down the sideline and pulled out of bounds inside the 15. Kevin Verpail saved the touchdown. At the last minute, Gaduli found Van, and it's good for a gain of 27.
And what a tremendous catch Van makes on this ball. This ball is not really thrown very well, but watch how he makes a great athletic move, gets out in front, catches that ball. It's something. Watch this ball from this angle here. He really has to go forward to get that ball.
It's a nice job, and what else happened? Courtney Davenport was getting out there in coverage, and he slipped and fell down. But you're right, a nice catch.
From the 14, 1st and 10. It's Hall again, tripped up for a loss. Excellent penetration by Stephen Nicholas.
He made the play. I mean, you talk about a guy doing more than his job. All he was supposed to do was to take on the blocker and force it back inside, but he took on the blocker so deep in the backfield, he actually made the play.
Well, that's what you're going to say. What you call it trapping the trapper so much, but you want to block the blocker. Before he can deliver it on you, you go deliver it on him, make the back adjust.
2nd and 12. Gaduli looks in the flat. It's covered, so he wisely throws it away. He had Leroy Selman Jr. right in his face.
Bringing up 3rd down and 12 at the 16.
It's a family affair for the Selmans here. We spoke earlier with Leroy Sr., the athletic director here. Leroy Jr.'s mom is a nurse on the campus, and he has a brother and a sister who are students at USF. Tenth play of the drive for Cincinnati. 3rd down and 12 from the South Florida 16. Out of the gun, Gaduli. Running away from the rush, he throws it away. Again, Selman in hot pursuit of Gaduli.
Wow, great pressure. And we saw a smart decision by Gaduli early in the game, bad decision later. This again was a smart decision. Don't try and make something out of nothing. Get the possibility of a turnover. Now you're in good field goal range to take the lead.
He made 2 smart decisions on 3rd and 4th down, throwing the ball away and making sure that he didn't get flagged for grounding by making sure he got the ball beyond the line of scrimmage.
This will be a 33-yard field goal, and it's Chet Irvin. Interesting, because we mentioned earlier on the shorter kicks, usually it's Chris Manfredini. When we asked Coach Minter, he said it would be Manfredini out to about 35 or 40 yards. This is just 33, but instead it's Irvin, and that's a good decision, because he just drilled one right down the middle, but there's a flag down. And it's against Cincinnati.
You know, we wonder too, guys, with Cincinnati, would we have seen the last couple of play calls had their offensive coordinator been here? Again, Rusty Burns not here, had some issues early in the day, went to a facility here, and he's not at the game, so the offensive coordinator not making the calls tonight. So you wonder how much that's plays are different than what he would be calling.
I checked on Rusty Burns' status at halftime with Bob Goyne, the athletic director. He said he is resting comfortably. They are going to hold him overnight, but they don't think it's anything serious.
That's good news.
And that's wonderful news. Just feeling a little under the weather. So Irvin tries again, and he put it in just about the same spot in that net right between the uprights. A 38-yard field goal for Chet Irvin, and Cincinnati reclaims the lead. Back in Tampa, and the kickoff from Chet Irvin comes down to J.R. Reed at the 10. And a nice run back by the starting safety out to the 35-yard line, and then some late flags with some pushing and shoving well after the tackle was made. A 25-yard return. And that'll bring the ball out to midfield. Here's Rob Stone.
Well, guys, you're talking about Chet Irvin's shoes, right? This is his backup pair, and basically what it is, it's a ballerina shoe that they ordered from the Pelfrey Professional Kicking Service Company out of Nevada, and they got studs on it here. Basically, they talk about it's like a boxer taping up his hand. You get it nice and tight right on there. And I know, Mike Golick, you were talking before the game, it's low heel. He never slips out of it. I know you're worried about that. And as he says, that's the first thing everybody asks, do I slip out of it? But no, so that's it, a little ballerina shoe with studs.
Actually, I'm worried it's a ballerina shoe.
Yeah, I know you are.
Oh, I'm not saying another word about kickers.
Wait, don't you do ballerina?
Could you see me in a pair of those shoes? I'd blow them out.
Pat Gilmis still the quarterback. There's DeJuan Green bouncing off the pile and shoved out of bounds by Franklin Calicott.
I noticed, Sean, you didn't have a comment about the ballerina shoe.
I really have nothing to add to that. I don't know anything about ballerina shoes.
How much grief must
How
he
about
get?
soft spikes? You know, that's more my speed.
Soft spikes? Yeah, I don't know. But I know this. He must get a lot of grief from his teammates, you know, about ballerina shoes or what, Pilates shoes? I don't know, whatever those things are.
Now the shotgun on 2nd and 5. Quentin Crosley took the handoff. He delivered a blow to the defender and picked up the first down at the at the 39-yard line.
Yep.
How are you? Is that Mr. Osborne, we presume?
Oh. Well,
what was your budget for these? I mean, that Rudolph thing couldn't have cost more than $2 or $3, and this thing's pretty weak too.
Donated.
Donated.
I had to give some money, and I got this in return. I got the actually. They wanted candy. I said, no, I'll give you money.
Joel Mist throws to the far sideline, incomplete. Out of bounds, intended for DeJuan Green.
I'm a big fan of Halloween. What can I say? I love Halloween. It's one of those nights when you should just give out all the garbage. Don't give out apples. Don't give out toothbrushes. Don't give out pennies. Give out the garbage. Let the kids eat it.
That's all about the candy.
That's what it is tonight. Let them have some fun.
Like what? You have any pointers?
My head really is starting to itch.
I can't believe he's wearing that thing.
It's starting to itch. Allenson Sheffield out of bounds.
Well, you know,
short completion from Joel Mist.
You know, he's been like this all day.
He loves Halloween. He's not making this up to TV. He's been like a little kid all day.
I love Halloween. I really do. I go out with my kids when I'm home for it. I know they're out having a great time. Little jerks wouldn't stay in and watch the game. Watch their dad on TV.
Now, is that guy in costume, or you think he would have come that way anyway tonight? Joel Mist on 3rd down, throws way too high for Brian Fisher. And with 3:16 left in the 3rd quarter, South Florida will punt from the Cincinnati 37.
Again, good call here. Some of the fans may think to try and go here in this position, try and bury him in there, and you hope for that stop again by your defense. You're just a field goal down. You want to try and work the short field.
Was that Ozzy's talking, or was that you?
No,
talking?
if Ozzy said it, you wouldn't understand a word he said.
Brandon Baker sends it a mile high in the air. This goes into the end zone.
You know, we'll talk about picks later, but let me say this. They're not that bad. They're not as bad as they appeared last week.
God, I would hope not.
Boy, you wouldn't hope not. But Rod, you and our picks will be coming up in a little bit. We made picks on all. Again,
you think Rod's so sturdy on that big limb he just walked out on there? They are not as bad as they look. Terry Arnold. If they are, they have huge problems. Maurice Jones made the tackle. A gain of 1.
A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that however you played in your last game defines what you are as a team, and that's not true. You're never really as good as you may appear in that blowout win, and you're never really as bad as you appear in that blowout loss.
But there is something with Virginia Tech. When they get run on, they get beat. I mean, because they've been so good at stopping it that when they get run on, that has been their downfall.
So can Miami run on them?
Jared Payton.
2nd and 9. Gaduli throws short of a first down, and a good tackle prevented Hannibal Thomas from eating up that first down yardage. Johnny Jones made the tackle.
But that's a nice throw going left there by Gaduli. That was a nice throw. Put it where it had to be. It's 3rd and short now. Let's see if they can move the chains, or South Florida can get out of this with some good field position.
3rd and 2 as we go under 2 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Cincinnati looking for its 5th win of the year. Leading 10-7. Carl Jones the lone back. They spread 4 wide receivers. Gaduli a threat to run out of this formation as well. Gaduli takes off and has the first down out to the 33.
Good call, Sean. That's you know, you need the short yards like that. You take the snap, let the rush start, and just pick your hole. You find out where it's going to be. You see the back shifted right before the play. That became his lead back on Courtney Davenport, and that helped get the first down.
You are so right on the money, because Gaduli had Jones move over right before the play. He saw what he needed to have to adjust to that play, and that set up the run.
Sean, what are they going to run here now?
I don't know. That was kind of my one for the night. Going to take my chips and go home. Carl Jones in at tailback. They're going to hand it to the tailback. For those of you who might be watching on a slight delay, out to the 39-yard line. A gain of 5. J.R. Reed made the tackle, and the clock will run under a minute left in the third quarter.
You know, since throwing that interception in the first quarter, Guidugli really has managed the game much better.
Yep.
And he's playing much more like the veteran quarterback you'd expect him to be. A guy who started since he was a freshman. He had a lot of upperclassmen around him as a freshman and a sophomore, but now he's the guy as a junior.
There were 16 completions. 10 different receivers have caught balls. Nice play by Kevin Verpail, the safety, as he laid out Kyle Kester, the fullback.
After the nice play by Stephen Nicholas, he's the one that came up and forced it, kept contained, didn't leave his feet, made Guidugli throw it, and made Verpail get an easy hit on that one.
Kind of a nasty hit from a guy who's really a softie during the day. Kevin Verpail is student teaching in a high school in the area with special ed students from 7 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. He teaches all day, then heads right over to the USF campus to go to practice. He's a married young man with 2 young children. But as Coach Leavitt said, it's like he turns on a switch once he gets on that football field. Guidugli under duress escapes, has a man open, and it's too high. Intended for Terry Arnold. Craig Coble was nearest Guidugli, forcing him to escape to the left and throw errantly.
South Florida continuing to make plays, Mike, on third down. Bringing pressure and then playing zone behind it. They are still making some decent plays. That time Guidugli got outside the pocket, which put a little pressure on him, but the pressure they put on Guidugli helped them make the third down play again.
Jet Urban to punt for the 5th time. Brian Fisher back for it. Oh my. That's a little bit of a shank. High and short and down at the 39-yard line, just a 22-yard punt. Joel Mist takes off on the run. Gets pulled down by Tywan Hagler at the 47-yard line, perhaps the 48. That'll be the final play of the third quarter. 15 minutes left in regulation time in Tampa. Cincinnati leads 10-7. Back in Tampa for the start of the fourth quarter. Cincinnati with a 10-7 lead. But it's South Florida with the ball near midfield, looking at 2nd down and 1 at their own 48-yard line. And on the sideline, Huey Whitaker blocking on the last play. It appeared to injure his leg, and he's getting medical attention on the near sideline. The handoff inside, and a first down for DeJuan Green out to the 50. Let's go back to the previous play and see if he can find the injury to Whitaker.
Been blocking, he's getting it landed. Oh yeah. So you never know what's coming. You're out there blocking, you're just blocking, all of a sudden people are all over the back of your legs. Out there, looks like they'll tape him up again, see if he can go.
Nothing doing that time for DeJuan Green, wrapped up by Kassan Love as we check the Seiko storyline in timely fashion.
Gino Guidugli has been efficient, especially since the interception. You see the touchdown pass, Mike Daniels' first of his career. And a little bit of work out of South Florida.
Yeah, Elgin Hicks with the touchdown reception. A great play fake.
You guys are great at sharing that stuff. Incomplete pass.
That's what we do.
Intended for Brian Fisher.
Is that considered costumes? Well,
it's a weekly outfit, though. Maybe they're not the actual cheerleaders. Maybe it's a group of young ladies who have come dressed up as cheerleaders tonight.
As long as they're not guys dressed up as cheerleaders.
There are some guys down there dressed up like girls. It's just, it's an embarrassment.
It's Halloween, though.
Well, that's true. The only shame is they did it last week as well.
3rd and 9. Cincinnati rushes 5, and Joel Mist is in trouble. And he could not get away from Taiwan Hagler. And a sack all the way back to the 40-yard line. Third sack of the night for Cincinnati. Trent Cole also came to the aid of Hagler, and South Florida will punt again.
Well, with Hagler, it's all about speed, and if you don't get in front of him and have a little help, he will run past his blocker. He used that speed and quickness that time.
Brandon Baker punts. Very high punt. Hey, Ozzie Goldick, is that one of your offspring?
That might be Jack.
Where's Sharon? Where's your wife?
That's
Boy, people are really in the spirit here tonight, aren't they?
Love that.
Out of the shotgun, Gino Guidugli on 1st and 10 for Cincinnati, and the inside handoff to Richard Hall, who is dropped for a loss of a yard in the play. Second and 11. Hall out to the 26-yard line. One of the most hotly debated questions of this week, as I watched ESPN, was who is the best team in the Big Ten? I think Michigan came back to life in the game that we did against Minnesota. When look at their whole season was about to go out the window. I still think they're the best team.
I picked Michigan State in this game.
I noticed that.
I'm riding, Jeff Smoker coming back. I mean, they got it going on right now. They have something happening right now. It's working pretty well, and I'm going to ride it with them as long as I have it.
Until they see Michigan tomorrow. I'm with Sean on this one. I think it's all about Navarre. Since that fourth quarter, his team has been fantastic.
That's been a rivalry in recent years, dominated by the home team. That game is in East Lansing tomorrow. Guidugli scrambles, running out of time, just threw it away. Which one do you pick, Nebraska at Texas?
I picked Nebraska. I'm telling you, Texas is an underachieving team.
Oh, come on.
Texas, for the talent they have, the last couple of years, they have underachieved.
Come on, they've been running up against Oklahoma, which has been the best team in college football the last 4 years.
Texas has a lot of talent, and they've been underachieving. I'm sticking to it. Nebraska, 1 year off the radar screen there, and this will put them right back on it. This could put them back on.
I think we'll learn a lot about them tomorrow, if they're back or not. Playing a legitimate opponent on the road. Chet Irvin with a booming punt. Fisher all the way back to the 18. Well, he's fun to watch even when he isn't going very far. He brought that one back to the 28-yard line. 55-yard punt and 11-yard return.
I think that's an unfair knock on Texas. I really do, because you look at what they've done. They've done a lot of good stuff, but Oklahoma has been phenomenal the last 4 years. If Oklahoma is in another division, Texas, we may be talking about them and how great they are in the Big 12. But over the last 4 years, Oklahoma and Miami, nobody could touch them. And we're blaming Texas for underachieving?
I'm saying Texas has the talent. I thought, a lot of people thought that 1 or 2 of the years they were picked to be near the top, and they haven't lived up.
You thought they were better than Oklahoma?
Well, they obviously weren't. I'm
what
saying,
about this year? Are they underachieving this year with 2 losses?
I think they absolutely are. Yes.
Well, certainly you would have thought they would beat Arkansas.
Well,
and that win looked really good for Arkansas, and Arkansas was a little more impressive earlier in the season than they have been lately.
Well, we say underachieving. You guys say underachieving, and it's a team with a new quarterback. And anytime you change your quarterback,
I didn't say underachieving. I was just asking the question.
Well, this man said underachieving.
I don't want to side with Goldick.
You agreed with him.
They're underachieving.
I've already reached my quota tonight of 2. I
but
think.
wait a minute, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma tomorrow?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Okay, all right.
I don't see it happening again for Oklahoma State.
Fisher at quarterback on 2nd down. He got banged back by Jamar Enzor, but they'll give him forward progress out to the 38. Banks, the starting quarterback here tonight, fellas, 1 for 6. Fisher 2 for 6. Joel missed 3 for 7. It has not been a good passing night, no matter who's been in there.
Joel missed. Watching him throw before the game and talking to some of the coaches, like I said, they love his arm strength. Now, he's a young kid, so it's a matter of him getting the program down, making quicker decisions, and getting the ball where it needs to go. But I think this is a guy to keep an eye on in this passing attack if they want to spread the ball around.
Fisher, the quarterback, on 3rd and 1. 2 tight ends in the game. Crossley is the tailback. He got slowed behind the line, but might have picked up the first down. Looks like he did get it across that yellow line, or at least right on it. And the yellow line does not lie. Doug Monahan made the tackle for Cincinnati.
Last thing I want to say about Survival Saturday and a team we didn't mention, a team that's been incredible this year, USC. That offense, but Matt Leinart has come in and done a fantastic job. They have an aggressive, a lot of talent on that team. I think they beat Washington State tomorrow, and I think this is a team that has the potential to make a move.
Did I pick Washington State?
You probably did.
I don't think I did. I think I picked USC.
I think you did too.
But remember, for all the talk about USC, they're not in first place in the Pac-10.
No, they're not. Look at the battle over whether it's a first down or not. That's a first down.
Well, the game against TCU earlier this year, which many of our viewers saw, Jim Leavitt was very upset about the lack of a measurement at the end of the game. Now it's Rick Minter who isn't very happy about the way that measurement went down. Coach Minter, 49 years old, a Lou Holtz disciple, started his coaching career as a graduate assistant under Lou at Arkansas, coached for him again at Notre Dame as his defensive coordinator. By far the longest tenure of any Cincinnati head coach in his 10th year. The previous long had been 6, including the late great Hall of Fame coach Sid Gilman, who had been the winningest coach at Cincinnati until Rick Minter passed him this year. Minter now 52 wins and 59 losses as Cincinnati head coach.
And one of the things both these coaches have said about the imminent move to the Big East is how it will help recruiting. How now guys will say, okay, I want to go to a team that's in the Big East, that's in the BCS package, when we have a shot to go to one of those big bowls. It's going to help recruiting for both these teams.
Fisher throws it out for Allenson Sheffield, and a flag thrown. And it's thrown in the field of play. It also looked like Sheffield might have been hit late, but this is going to be for a holding call against USF.
Mike, just to go back to your point about the Big East move, both coaches believe that it's important when they're in the living rooms of these youngsters that they're recruiting to be able to say you can play in a BCS Bowl and you can play for a national championship.
Holding on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Still second down.
Again, receivers downfield. Gets his hands on the outside. See him rearranging the jersey a little bit. Keep him inside. Keep him inside.
Were you surprised to hear the coaches say that it's so important to tell kids you can play for a national championship, even if you're a South Florida or Cincinnati, where it's not realistic that you're going to win a national championship in the near future?
But you have the potential to get to that big bowl, and I think that's appealing to some of these kids.
Hatchell missed back in. He has the big arm. That's too big. Intended for Elgin Hicks and covered by Zach Norton. It'll be 3rd down and 11 from the 38-yard line. Under 9.5 minutes now left in the 4th quarter, and Cincinnati still leading by 3.
And you just wonder how South Florida is going to get the yards to get downfield other than a big play. I mean, they put really not a whole lot, very little together tonight. They get the big touchdown off the play fake, but nothing really sustained.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to trick Holly again with the play fake.
And their best receiver, Huey Whitaker, still on the sideline after coming off with the foot injury. Suffered while trying to block. Joel missed. Pulled down at the 45, about 4 yards short of a first down. Taiwan Hagler and Jason Russell ran him down. I think if it was a little later in the game, Jim Leavitt would think seriously about going for this.
Now, this is the right move. He's got to play field position here.
Boy, these quarterbacks, when they pull the ball down, they're just looking to run, guys. I mean, they're not even looking to try and get out and make a play outside the pocket.
Ninth punt of the night for Brandon Baker. And it's a fake. And he just threw it up for grabs, and it's broken up.
What a smart play by Jawan Hall. He didn't even try to pick it up. He just knocked it down. He's only a freshman out of Detroit, but he did a great job on that play.
Pass
Intended for Patrick St. Louis. It was broken up by Jawan Hall. And this had no chance.
Back in Tampa, Cincinnati up 10-7. South Florida tries to fake punt. Johnny Jones here goes out to the right. He's wide open. Punter does not see that, goes to his left. And let me tell you what, Coach Leavitt let him hear about it when he got to the sideline. He was absolutely pointing to his right, saying you had Jones wide open over there. All you had to do was look.
He's got no business making that decision, though. They shouldn't even have gone for it there.
So he's been playing punt and field position all night. There's still plenty of time left, and instead of trying to tip the field position back in his favor, he took the gamble, and it didn't pay off. Although if he had thrown to the wide open man, it might be an entirely different situation right now. Yeah, Jones was wide open.
Yeah, you just read his lips there, saying all he's saying is wide open, wide open. He was talking about Jones, who took off to the right.
But you always have to ask yourself, what if? What if you don't make it?
Yep.
Now, and you put your defense in this position where a score could end the game for you now.
8 minutes left. The handoff to Richard Hall again. He reverses his field. Fumbles. It's still free. And the Bulls have recovered at the 47-yard line. Cedric Battles, who did not start tonight because of that knee injury suffered in practice during the week, recovered the fumble.
The defense just saved Coach Leavitt's call.
yeah, they did. Was that Jamie Murphy who came up with it? It looked like it was Jamie Murphy, 55, who jumped on it. I'm sorry, Cedric Battles, 55.
Rick Kravitz, co-defensive coordinator, fired up after the second turnover of the night by Cincinnati. DeJuan Green goes into Cincinnati territory at the 48-yard line. Jamar Enzor made the tackle nearly midway through the fourth quarter now. Cincinnati leads 10-7.
South Florida needs to do is move the chains a couple of times, get themselves in the field goal. Gramatica kicked a 45-yarder this year. He's got plenty of leg.
Pat Gill missed at quarterback. He was the third quarterback to work tonight. That's a shovel pass and an incomplete pass. Batted down by Trent Cole, who's lived up to his big reputation tonight. The junior from Wilberforce, Ohio.
And finding themselves in this position, guys, tonight way too much. Third and long.
Well, you know what you're going to get from Cincinnati. They're going to try and bring pressure underneath. They're going to play zone behind it.
Right.
Now the shotgun on 3rd down and 6. Whitaker still not in the game for South Florida. There's a bullet and a nice catch by Hicks. Joel missed. You can see why the coaches love his arm. That was a frozen rope and a nice diving catch made by Elgin Hicks at the 37-yard line, an 11-yard gain and a first down.
Well, they got the expected coverage and they ran a deep enough in route in front of the zone and behind the pressure coming up.
Quarterback draw. Joel missed. Inside the 30 and down at the 28, about a half-yard short of a first down. The safeties, Franklin Calicott and Doug Monahan, made the tackle.
Oh, they're in Gramatica's range right now.
Guys, let's remember what's at stake for these two teams. The loser can pretty much forget about making it to a bowl this season.
If South Florida loses, they're definitely out. 2 of their wins against 1AA opponents. They don't count toward the 6 minimum wins you need. So they need to win all 4 of their remaining games, including this one tonight. DeJuan Green carried for the first down to the 26-yard line. South Florida going into a pretty good breeze here in the fourth quarter. And here would be a long field goal into the wind. Here's a reverse. Fisher cuts it back inside and goes down at the 21. After a 5-yard gain, Taiwan Hagler with a solid tackle to bring down Fisher.
This is great. You know, we've got survival Saturday tomorrow. These two teams trying to survive tonight to make it to a bowl. And Fisher, who's played quarterback, punt returner, wide receiver, trying to pick up a first down.
2nd and 5. They show blitz off the near corner. Green ran away from that but didn't get far. To the 20, and that's it, where he ran into Jamar Enzor.
Called Enzor's name a whole lot tonight, haven't we?
Yep.
We'll bring up 3rd down and 4.
He's been tremendous.
Good range. 220, not overly big for a middle linebacker, but usually when they're that size, they can really go sideline to sideline.
Well, we'll see if they're playing for the field goal here or playing for the first down.
I wouldn't be shocked to see another quarterback draw.
They're looking to the sideline for some signals once they get over the ball, and then a timeout called by Cincinnati. Rick Minter didn't like something about what he saw. First timeout used by either team here in the second half. 5:26 remaining. South Florida trails by 3. And they'll be at the Cincinnati 20 with a 3rd down upcoming when we come back. Huey Whitaker still on the sideline. South Florida's best receiver trying to shake off a foot injury. Big play for his teammates. 3rd down and 4 at the Cincinnati 20. The Bearcats lead by 3 with 5:26 left. Joel missed a quick throw. Hicks stayed on his feet. And he's down inside the 10-yard line. He got away from Franklin Calicott, and finally Zach Norton made the tackle. A gain of 13. 1st and goal. Bulls at the 7.
That play worked because of arm strength. He got the ball there before the defender could break on it. That's a run the route to the sticks, turn, and the ball's going to be delivered. That's what they like about this kid.
Yeah, that ball got there right
Boy,
now.
Let me tell you what, he can whip it.
South Florida has struggled through much of the season in the red zone. It's the key possession in the red zone tonight. Shovel pass Fisher to Crossley. And he goes down inside the 5. Michael Brown, a backup linebacker, made the tackle for Rick Minter.
Now I like this. They have Fisher at quarterback. It gives them options down here. They can run the option. They can run the shovel pass. They can run the power game. I think having him in the lineup now is a good thing.
10th play of the drive. Set up by the fumble by Hall at midfield. Fisher communicating with Crossley. Option again. Fisher's in trouble, and he gets smothered. Back at the 7-yard line. Taiwan Hagler and Mike Wright. Wright, the biggest of that defensive front four, at about 290 pounds.
Mike Wright in the setup for Cincinnati.
Cincinnati and South Florida, each looking for its 5th win of the year, and each trying to stay on the fringe of the race in Conference USA. Friday night fights coming up next. This has been a little bit of a slugfest. It hasn't been an offensive showing by either team, but it's been competitive and entertaining. Fisher needs to get rid of the ball, and he throws it short for Crossley, and that's a big loss on the play.
Oh,
Would have been better off just throwing it away. Instead, he dumped it to Crossley, who goes out at the 13-yard line, a loss of 6 more.
well, I mean, obviously he doesn't have a ton of experience. I know he played quarterback in high school, but the experience to know in that position, you're in a lot better shape to throw that ball away.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Crossley needed to just let it go, knock it down. And you have an option quarterback who's trying to make a throwing play out there. Not going to happen.
Here's the youngest of the field goal kicking Gramatica brothers, Santiago Gramatica. 30-yard field goal. As his brother Martin kicks here for the Tampa Bay Bucks. And that kick is good. Brother Bill kicked here at USF. There's Martin Gramatica. All 3 of the kickers were recruited by Jim Leavitt. Martin to Kansas State when Jim was an assistant there. Bill and Santiago here to USF. Tied up with 3.5 to go. Tied at 10 with 3:33 left here in Tampa. Sean McDonough with Rod Gilmore, Mike Golick, and Rob Stone. Santiago Gramatica just kicked a field goal from 30 yards to tie the ball game, and now Justin Geisler will kick off. Kicking into a pretty decent breeze. And a good kick into the wind. Comes down to Tedrick Harwell near the goal line. And he's tackled at the 20. Here's Rob.
Well, Sean, the Gramaticas are the first family of kicking in the U.S. We're with Martine. He's been on the sideline with his brother all game. They're actually roommates as well. What kind of advice do you give your younger brother Santiago during the game?
Oh, I really don't. I'm just here for him, whatever he needs, but I don't give him anything. He's old enough, he knows what he's doing, so I just pretty much, if he needs anything, I'm here. If not, I just leave him alone.
There's already 2 Gramaticas kicking in the NFL. Does your youngest have a chance to be there as well and join you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's no doubt that he'll be in the NFL. I just hope I'm playing long enough.
Thanks. Congrats. Good luck Sunday.
No problem. Thanks.
All right, Rob, thank you. On first down, it's Carl Jones. He's shown a tough running style, even though he's not particularly big, just 5'9", 185 pounds. He turned that into a 9-yard gain, tackled by J.R. Reed.
He really does. It's almost like when you come to tackle him, you almost don't think you need to hit him as hard because he's so small, and he keeps those legs going. He keeps that great balance. He's got positive yards.
Well, you know, he was a defensive back, so he's got that attitude for being tenacious on the field.
Jones outside to the left has the first down and goes out of bounds at the 33. Cincinnati has 2 timeouts left. South Florida has all 3.
You don't want to jinx anything, but you know what we haven't seen in a while is a flag. It's been a little while since we've seen any laundry thrown out there by the refs.
Gaduli 16 out of 31, 115 yards passing. They're staying on the ground here in their own territory. Jones got them out to the 36. That'll be under 2.5 minutes remaining by the time they next snap the ball. Craig Coble made the tackle.
Set up, Rod, play action, getting ready for it.
Well,
run,
you know,
run,
yeah, you kind of figure it's coming.
Yep.
There haven't been many shots taken deep down the field by Cincinnati tonight. That pass caught by Jones out of the backfield, and then he was tackled by Maurice Jones. It's another first down out to the 44.
But Cincinnati is trying to deal with the USF defense on first down and second down. They like to play man coverage.
Right.
They like to bring pressure, so they're trying to run it, pound it inside. And then on third down, they know the defense likes to play a little bit of zone. If they can get it short, they'll get man-to-man on third down, play action, and take a shot.
Richard Hall, the running back now. They're going to stick with the ground game. Kevin Verpail, the center, up to the safety rather, up to upend Hall at the 46-yard line.
Either way, it seems like they're going to make sure that there's not going to be a lot of time left on the clock for anything, whether they're going to go for a Hail Mary, whether they're going to get close enough for a field goal.
Chet Irvin, the long field goal kicker, has a long this year of 44. He would be kicking with a pretty good wind. Hall tripped up behind the line of scrimmage by Stephen Nicholas. He is certainly an emerging star. Craig Coble also in on the play. And a timeout called by Cincinnati, leaving the Bearcats with 1 with 1 minute and 19 seconds remaining. Big third down and 10 here for Cincinnati. They've been relying primarily on the ground game tonight. Haven't had the season-long problem of drop balls tonight because they haven't thrown the ball.
Well, if they don't get the first down and it stays in bounds, expect South Florida to call timeout.
All the passes have pretty much been like this. A little screen to Thaddeus Lewis. First down, and he almost went all the way. Terrence Royal ran him down from behind at the 33-yard line. First and 10, Cincinnati.
Remember, Mike, this is a defensive back converted to wide receiver just a couple of weeks ago to help out in the wide receiver spot. They run a quick screen on 3rd and 10 when they've had nothing going, and they get a big play.
That's a great call, though. It's a great call because it's safe. You know what? It's going to be a completion, or if he drops it incomplete, or if you get tackled, you still have possession, you punt, and you're still in a tie game. It was a good, safe call that worked out for him. I thought it was an excellent play call.
It'll be a 50-yard field goal from here with the wind. The pitch back to Jones, and Maurice Jones made a terrific play. If they were in borderline field goal range there, they're not really in field goal range here, back on the 37-yard line.
Yeah, make that now a 53-yard field goal.
Or maybe even 54. And time running down. Men are waving them up to the line, but it's almost as if they don't know what they're supposed to be doing when they get to the line. 2nd and 12. Jones down to the 30-yard line. That would be a 47, perhaps 46-yard field goal try. J.R. Reed made the tackle. Timeout, Cincinnati. The last timeout for the Bearcats. Which raises the question, do you try to kick the field goal right now?
I think they have to kick it. Without another timeout, I don't think they can run another play, get themselves lined up, and kick the field goal.
I agree. I think they absolutely have to kick it now.
For those of you who were with us earlier, it's an important game. Rick Minter said a win tonight for these teams keeps them with a slim chance, because there are some tough games remaining for TCU, Southern Miss, and Louisville, including Louisville and TCU going head-to-head next week. First time two ranked teams in Conference USA have ever played each other head-to-head. They've had more than one team ranked at the same time before, but never have they gone head-to-head. So we have that to look forward to in Conference USA. And if South Florida loses tonight, absolutely no chance to go to a bowl game.
Yeah, I don't think Cincinnati can catch up with Southern Miss or TCU. But I think they're fighting to stay alive for a bowl and nothing more. I don't think they can win Conference USA. South Florida, as you mentioned, this field goal, if it happens right now, they must stop it or else they can forget about postseason this year.
It's not. They're coming out to run a play.
Oh, boy.
Well, it better be a pass.
Boy, oh boy, you got it.
If it's a run that doesn't get a first down, doesn't go out of bounds, the regulation time is going to end. Timeout, South Florida.
I think they're calling timeout because they're shocked.
It might be a break for Cincinnati. Give them a chance to rethink this.
Well, and I think that's a pretty good timeout by South Florida. I mean, why not get yourself together and regroup and be prepared for this thing if they're going to run a play? You got a pretty good chance of stopping it, getting yourself ready, because you know, hey, if they're not going to keep the field goal, all you got to do is tackle them.
Well, if they're going to run a play here, here's the thing. Paduli's got to either, if he's going to roll out, he'll be out of the pocket, so if there's nothing there, throw it away. Don't even waste time. Don't tuck it down and try and run. Either take your shot, make sure it's past the sticks, so it's a first down, because then you can get up and kill it, or you throw it out of bounds and you kick the field goal. That's if they still are going to run the play.
The problem is they may make a play and run and pick up the first down, and the clock will stop momentarily,
right,
and they still may have trouble getting the play off.
With 15 seconds, I think if they get the pass off quick enough and get set, because the clock would be stopped, they could get a kill play in.
I think they're better off taking a shot at the end zone here.
Guduli out of the shotgun, just throwing short, and it does exactly what Rick Minter wanted. Stops the clock and gets them some extra yardage.
Wow.
To make it a much shorter field goal. It would have been about a 46 or 47-yard try. Now it's going to be about 41.
Wow. You know, he got it done, and as a defensive back, you can't allow that to happen.
No.
You have to be aware that you got to protect the sidelines and keep them in the ball field.
Now Chet Irvin, and Jim Leavitt's going to call a timeout. The completion, Guduli to Murray, got them to the 23-yard line. And it'll come down to the foot of Irvin, sophomore from Sulphur, Kentucky, out of Henry County High School.
He's got a
Been
leg.
the punter, added the field goal kicking duties this season. You mentioned mostly the long field goal tries. They've used Manfredini on the shorter kicks. He does have a long of 44.
And he's made,
he made a field goal earlier tonight.
And he's made 5 over 40 yards. So, I mean, he certainly has some good accuracy from that range.
And he has that shoe. That ballerina shoe he uses to.
It is really amazing that there's no back on the shoe. I don't know how. I really don't. It's got to be molded so tight to his foot, how it can stay on.
It takes until Tuesday to get it off.
Look how low that shoe is. There's no heel. Look at that.
It looks like somebody stepped on the back of the shoe in the old flat tire. Well, this is in all likelihood to win the game. A 41-yard try. With the wind at his back, and it's a pretty stiff breeze. Distance should not be an issue here. And South Florida is going to use all of its bullets. That's the last timeout for Coach Leavitt.
Well, that's a good call. You can't take those timeouts home with you.
The ultimate freeze, huh?
Ice them a little bit longer.
Well, again, so it's with the kick, because it's a little more distance, you have to think that the kicker's going to try and get some distance on it. Sometimes it comes out of there a little low, so you make sure they're on the hash a little bit. You make sure you shift your block off to the defensive left a little bit. Don't come straight up the middle, because that's not where the ball is going to go.
You see how he's got all this time by himself and nobody is near him. He's by himself at around the 50-yard line. All his teammates are over on the sideline. He's been by himself for about 2 minutes now. This timeout and the last timeout.
What you think about it?
Pressure on the snapper and holder as well.
Yep.
Jeremy Slicker is the snapper. Colin Carey, a backup quarterback, is the holder. And all Gino Guidugli can do now is watch.
Rush has got to come from the defensive left side.
10 seconds to go. Irvin trying to break a 10-10 tie. It is blocked. Well, you talked about it. A low kick perhaps, and they went flying over the top of the pile in the middle.
Guess who came in the game? He's been out. Huey Whitaker has been out, has not had a reception today, had the bad ankle. He's 6'5". He was the jumper, and I think he's the one that got it. Oh, did he get up? I don't even know if it got up to him or if somebody got it below that. Oh, it hit Whitaker in the stomach. That's what I talk about. When a kick is that long, it tends to come out low at times.
Wow. He hasn't been able to play on offense because his foot's been bothering him since he got rolled up on while blocking. South Florida will just take a knee at its own 26-yard line, 27-yard line, and go to overtime. Heading to overtime here in Tampa, tied at 10.
Here's the head, here's the tail. I'm going to call head.
And that's usually the way it goes when you win the toss. You elect to go on defense to see what happens, and when you're on offense, you know what you need to do. Here are the overtime rules. Most of you know it by now. Each team is guaranteed one possession starting at the opponent's 25-yard line in each overtime until the winner is decided. There is no game clock. There will be the play clock, and if we get to a third overtime and you score a touchdown in the third overtime or beyond, you must go for a 2-point conversion. Each team has been to overtime once this year, memorably so. Cincinnati needed 3 overtimes to beat Temple, and South Florida went to double overtime to beat Louisville, the Cardinals' only loss of the season. USF won it on a field goal by Gramatica. All time, Cincinnati 5-3, South Florida 2-0. Cincinnati first from the 25. Richard Hall lined up as the tailback and gets the call and gets nothing. Tackled by Stephen Nicholas.
Well, Cincinnati has been consistently running on first down and second down for a good quarter now. This would be a good time for them to play action, Mike, and take a shot. Because going first, they need to think touchdown, not field goal.
And that's exactly why South Florida went on defense, won the toss and went on defense, to see what Cincinnati, just as you said, Sean, see what they do and then see what their offense has to do.
Richard Hall, the lone back now with 2 tight ends on the field. Play action pass. They do take their shot deep, and they have a man open. Touchdown! Dennis Hart, the tight end, gives Cincinnati the lead.
That's about as easy as they come, right between J.R. Reed and Kevin Verpail. That's where Hart was running. Great throw. Great throw.
Well, we talked about their tendency. First down, second down run for a good quarter now. They've been doing that. Play action now on 2nd down and 9, breaking the tendency. Perfect for him.
Chris Manfredini to try the extra point. 25-yard touchdown pass, and the extra point up and good. Hart accepting the congratulations. He'll get a lot of congratulations at home too. He's from a huge family. He has 6 brothers and 7 sisters.
Run like that to the dinner table. Make sure you get some of the food. Nothing
4th catch of the night for Hart. They had a span earlier in the game when they went to him on a couple of plays in a row, and then they did not come back to him until right now.
But you call it, Rod, with the play action, you get those defenders to stick just for that moment, and it gives the tight end, in this case Hart, the chance to split them.
Well, that's exactly what happened in that replay. You could see the linebacker step up on that run, and he just slipped right in behind them and kept running to the corner.
Well, they made that look easy.
2nd touchdown pass of the night for Gaduli. So here comes South Florida. Has to score a touchdown and kick the extra point to extend it to a 2nd overtime. And they have Brian Fisher at quarterback. They spread the field with 4 wide receivers, although ordinarily when Fisher is the quarterback, they run. And Fisher takes matters into his own hands and gets 5 to the 20. Trent Cole made the tackle.
So, Mike, do you like Fisher being in here now, or would you prefer to see a quarterback who can throw a little better right now?
Well, I'll tell you what, Fisher gives you such a great dimension and could just break one on you. You're looking for a big play, and he's the one that can get it. But Joe Mist really kind of gave a spark and really got that gun. But I think Fisher gives you the better chance right now with this playability, because still I don't know if you can trust the passing of any of these guys.
Shovel pass to Clinton Crosley. Got them to the 19. A gain of only 1. 3rd down and 4. Andre Frazier made the tackle. And when you put Fisher at quarterback, you lose him as a receiving threat.
Yes, you do.
Yes. Right now, though, you've got the option. This is their best formation with Fisher at quarterback. Speed option possibilities for them.
Dewan Green spins for the 1st down. They were obviously in 4-down territory. Field goal does them no good. Franklin Calicott made the tackle. 1st and 10 for South Florida from the 14.
I think they are better with Fisher at quarterback when they have the 2 backs.
Yeah, I agree.
Instead of the 3 wide receivers.
Then you really have the defense thinking which way is it going to go. Because I agree with you. I think we're getting ready to see an option as well.
Out of the gun again. There's a shovel pass again. That's about as risky as they want to get.
Yep.
Throwing the ball forward with Fisher out there. Andre Frazier made the tackle on Clinton Crosley.
Well, understand what you're missing here as well. Huey Whitaker at 6'5". Here's an area where you could run that fade, which would be kind of a safer play. Now he's in the game. He's up at the top of the screen.
But you're not going to have Fisher throw a fade.
Yeah, it would be difficult, but I'll tell you what, I would still want my chances.
See, I don't like this formation. I think this limits what they can do with Fisher in the red zone.
2nd and 7. A late pitch back to Crosley. Bowls his way close to another 1st down. Looks like they'll mark him at the 5, about a yard short of the 1st down. Hassan Love made the tackle. It looks like they are determined just to continue to pound it downfield on the ground.
Well, Crosley is really doing the pounding there. I mean, he does a nice job of breaking a couple of arm tackles to get inside the 5.
They go to this tight formation with every tight end in the program on the field. Fisher almost collided with Crosley, and if he got the 1st down, it isn't by much. Looks like they're going to mark him right on that yellow line, which would be a first down if the line judge doesn't move that foot. They seem confident that they have the first down because they're sending multiple wide receivers on the field now.
Yeah, they're going to measure, but you're right. They do have the first down. As you say,
the yellow line never lies.
There you have it.
Although sometimes you need to get the nose of that ball all the way to the far end of the yellow line.
I wonder if they have the longer or the shorter ball out there. Which one are they using? Sorry, Sean.
He got it. First and goal from the 4.
You're right, though. Safe play calling, not getting too crazy.
Well, if you're Cincinnati, I think you have to think about bringing your ends and your linebackers off the edge hard now, forcing a pitch if they run the option.
Fisher bounces outside to the left, down to the goal line. Touchdown!
Why that's such an excellent play is because Fisher's so fast, he gets to the outside before the linebackers can pursue. You have 3 wide receivers left. They're just going to get in the faces of the DBs, and you have a fast guy playing quarterback who gets to the corner quickly.
Now the extra point they have to force a second overtime. He's 20 for 21 in PATs this year. Trouble with the hold, and the kick just does flutter through. The punter, Baker, had trouble with the hold, and Gramatica just did get one to wobble through the uprights. We'll return with overtime number 2 from Tampa as College Football Friday continues on ESPN2. We're back at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa and heading for overtime number 2. Sean McDonough with Rod Gilmore, Mike Golick, and Rob Stone. Friday night fights coming up next here on ESPN2.
Well, here we go again. 2 things. Number 1, I was involved in one of these last year that went 7. Arkansas and Ole Miss. 7 overtimes.
Come on, come on.
Secondly, I can't stand the overtime system in college.
Really?
Why? Hate it.
Why? I love it. I think it's great.
It's not a football game. You've just played an entire football game, and now you're not. Where's the kickoffs? Where's the special teams? Where's the punting? Play a football game.
I don't miss the kickoffs. I don't miss
Why? Isn't that part of the game?
It's part of the game, but
it is part of the game.
But to me,
this isn't the game.
This is a lot of excitement. It has a way of bringing some finality quickly. You have a choice. You got to try and get in the end zone. I like that.
I like to play football. I just busted my hump for 60 minutes. You know, I want to finish it with a football game.
You like the NFL system? You bust your hump for 60 minutes and let some little guy trot out there and kick a field goal and end the game without anybody having a chance to play anything else?
Tough hold there. I'll tell you, getting it down. I don't know how that didn't get blocked.
Didn't look like a bad snap either.
No,
it just looked like Brandon Baker, the punter,
he
doubles as the holder, had a little trouble with it.
I would take the NFL system over this in a heartbeat, and that even needs some fixing.
I love this system. I think it's great.
It'd be great if it were football.
This is exciting, though. It's fun for all. Here's DeJuan Green. How'd he get through? Towards the end zone. No signal yet. Touchdown.
I love this system.
How did he do that? He breaks one tackle right there, a second tackle, and then outruns folks to the corner. And he's got a broken knuckle on his left hand, and he makes that effort.
Now, he was a 100-meter state champ in high school. Wasn't a long jump champ, and almost Thought about it there, the way he took off.
You know, guys, you talk about the talent at South Florida and what they recruit here. Think about the guys that go to other schools and have transferred back to South Florida from places like Florida State, Florida, and Georgia. Tells you how much talent is in this area.
Long delay here before they attempt the extra point. That was a very tired-looking defense Rick Minter had on the field there. There was some arm tackling and
Sean,
a real struggle.
It's a great point. That's the first thing that happens when you start to get winded is you don't bring your feet to the tackle and you just reach your arms out there, and he went right through him.
Juan Green, a 25-yard touchdown run on the first play of second overtime. 15 carries for 66 yards tonight for Green, and now another important extra point for Dramatica, with Baker holding again. Justin Daniel is the snapper. This one's up and good. So now Cincinnati must score a touchdown and kick the extra point to force a third overtime. It certainly does skew the stats.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you have a 10-10 game that could end up 42 to 45 to 42.
Now that I agree with. I think the stats could be handled differently, but the system, I think it works. It's exciting. It gives each team an opportunity to score, and it brings a lot of excitement to it.
I mean, it's what they have now, so you take it, you deal with it. I don't like it, but certainly there is excitement to it, no doubt about it. Now you know exactly what Cincinnati has to do. They have to get it in the end zone.
Why don't they just do what they do in the NHL? Take men off the field.
Yeah.
You know, every overtime you have to take 2 men off. So, you know, if you get to
and if you go over 10 minutes,
overtime, you're playing with 3 guys.
Or that, you just put the thugs on and you fight. Last man standing wins.
Clearly not football.
Now Cincinnati must score. It's a small crowd, but they're making a lot of noise. And it's the fullback Kester. There's a new wrinkle. And it surprised South Florida as Kester went for nearly 10 yards. He's a transfer from Indiana University.
And he's big. He's listed at 240, and he ain't 240. He's more than that.
He was 240 about a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Nice run there.
Second and less than a yard. Now Richard Hall, the lone back. 2 tight ends in the game. Hall had a key fumble in the second half. I'm not sure he got to the first down marker. He did not. They're going to spot him shy of the 15. It'll be third down and less than a yard. Courtney Davenport led the defensive surge.
Well, there was nothing there, and then when there was nothing there, Rod, he tiptoed. I mean, you just got to put a shoulder down, and if you got to barrel through your own old lineman, you got to do it.
I'd take a shot. You know, his third down here. Take a shot.
Gaduli keeps. I don't think he got there. He did not. It's going to be fourth down, and still about the same distance. They're not giving him anything.
I wouldn't be surprised if they use their timeout here.
And remember, their offensive coordinator is not here tonight. They've done it sort of by committee, at least for part of the game.
Well, you elect to stay with 2 tight ends and no lead blocker for Richard Hall. Hall bounces outside and gets it with the second effort. Looked like he was stopped. Ball game over. And with that last move, he was able to lunge forward to the 14. Bruce Gibson with the tackle.
How many yards after contact?
I don't
1,
like that call,
2,
fellas. I know he
3.
got there, but wow, he's talking about a slow developing wide play.
Too deep, going off the corner. A lot of penetration by South Florida. That was effort on Hall.
Individual effort. 4 yards after contact.
46 yards rushing for Hall and 23 carries, 2 per carry. Gaduli throws to Hall. It is intercepted. Ball game over. Leroy Selman Jr. wound up with the football. Inbounds. South Florida wins.
That was supposed to be a play deep. Rod, you talked about a take a shot. That's what they wanted. South Florida covered it, so the back just tried to sneak out after the rollout and the block. And there's Hall, hits him in the hands and bounces off his helmet. There's Shellman being an athlete.
Well, he was being an athlete, but he was also hustling. He's the defensive tackle who makes his way out to the sideline to try to be involved with the play to chase down the back. What a heck of a play.
Oh, Rick Minter's going to be sick.
Well, he called it an elimination game, and his team now is, for all intents and purposes, done in Conference USA. South Florida's dreams of a bowl game still alive. They need to run the table against East Carolina, UAB, and Memphis to be eligible. Once again, the final score in double overtime. South Florida 24, Cincinnati 17. Now for Rod, Mike, and Rob, our entire ESPN2 crew, Sean McDonough saying good night from Tampa and happy Halloween.